said, you're welcome to the Southeast Economic Summit, holding virtually this year in Enugu and around the world. While we're waiting for colleagues to continue to log in, we're actually going to start. And our welcome address is going to be provided by our co-host and principal partner, Professor Simon Otanya, who is the Director General of the Southeast Governors Forum and also the Secretary to the Enugu State Government as well. Prof, you're most welcome. If you I know you are online, can you please unmute and give your welcome address, sir?
Okay, thank you. I want to use this opportunity to recognize the chairman of SEREDEC and our former minister, two-time minister, Professor Barton Najan, is her amiable wife for today. Good morning. I want to also extend my regards to His Excellency, the former governor of Anambra State, His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, who is going to be the keynote speaker. Your Excellency, thank you. May I also recognize distinguished members of board of SEREDEC, our speakers, our partners in development of Southeast Nigeria, the FIDPEL. Let me commend the great work that is being done by a great son of Igbo land, Dr. Mike Abani. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, forgive me if I've not mentioned your name. It's because of the limitation of space in terms of what we are doing today. Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring you greetings from the Southeast Governors Forum. In a special way, I want to say that today is a special event as born in the last 5 years. But please, may I request each and every one of us to spare a minute of silence in honor of our departed mother, noble Sister Helen Ugweke, a noble woman of honor who has gone to join the Lord in paradise. May I kindly request that we spare a minute silence for the repose of her soul. May the soul of noble Sister Helen Ugweke and the souls of all the faithful departed rest in peace. Amen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to once more welcome you to this great event, the 5th version of Southeast Economic Summit. As you are aware, this economic summit has been on for 5 years. I therefore want to thank the leaders, the chairman, the management, members of the board of SEREDEC for this painstaking effort in ensuring that the economic development of the Southeast is on a fast lane. I recall that some 3 years ago in our summit, we set out 7 thematic areas for the development of the Southeast: in education, in infrastructure, in agriculture, in health, in information. And I am happy to say that we have pursued those objectives. We have pursued the expansion of rail line in the Southeast. We have pursued the redistribution of gas pipeline, amongst other things, the road infrastructure. The Southeast Governors Forum, in conjunction with SEREDEC, have pursued this in spite of enormous challenges, and we have recorded great success. Today, the fact that this summit is holding today is an eloquent testimony of the consistency, the doggedness, and the tenacity of purpose of SEREDEC. You'll recall again that sometime last year, the Southeast Governors Forum adopted SEREDEC as an official vehicle of Southeast for economic development of the Southeast and to fast-track our blueprint for emancipation economically. I am happy to say today that SEREDEC have not failed the Southeast. I therefore want to commend them for the great work they are doing. I welcome all participants in this summit. The theme of this summit is advancing the Southeast post-COVID-19. You will recall again that the world woke up in 2020 to witness a pandemic that is still ravaging the world today. A pandemic that does not have a cure yet. And so we recognize that it slowed down the world economy. And Nigeria is not an exception. The fact that this summit is virtual, again, speaks of what COVID-19 have done to our regular way of life. Therefore, we all must adopt the new normal. We must design ways of moving on with our lives, even in the context of COVID. And I am happy that today's summit will focus on how the Southeast has sustained the developmental strides, even in the midst and beyond COVID. I therefore want to urge participants to fashion ways, design strategies, and develop new modes for development of Southeast, notwithstanding that we have COVID in our midst. I am convinced that at the end of this summit, we will come up with better ways. We will keep the flag flying. We will sustain the tempo. And that SEREDEC will be greater emboldened to continue with the great work they are doing. I therefore, on behalf of the Southeast Governors Forum, wish to thank each and every one of you for coming to this summit, for participating in the summit, and to wish all of us very fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director General of the Southeast Governors Forum and Secretary to the State Government of Enugu State for your kind words and the recollection of our journey so far. Indeed, working together with the Southeast Governors Forum, our partners in FCDO Pearl, Ford Foundation, Breakfast Foundation, amongst quite a number of other people, a lot of activities have been undertaken. And as you correctly point out, we are now in a virtual world, but life goes on and we have to find new ways of dealing with the matters. At this point, I will hand over the microphone to the chairman of SEREDEC, Professor Bart Naji, to introduce our keynote speaker of the day. Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abani. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to say some things later on, but I really like to welcome all of you to this new, maybe you should say it's a new normal. And I'm quite appreciative of the fact that His Excellency Governor Peter Obi agreed to be our keynote speaker this year's um, virtual summit, fifth economic summit of the Southeast. So everyone knows Governor Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, former chairman, Southeast Governors Forum. A matter of fact, it was during his time that the Governors Forum got really pronounced and got known to be effective in having the group of governors join together in decision making on issues affecting the region. I must say he has not been the only governor, former governor, is not the only former governor from the Southeast, but it is about somebody's initiatives while in office and out of office. It is about who he is as a person, beyond just having been governor, but also what he did while he was on office. There are not many governors that can claim that when they left office, they left so much resources and funds for the successor. And that's what we know him for. Very prudent, very focused, very resourceful. So it is my pleasure to introduce Further Excellency Governor EoDB.
Huh? Excellency.
Thank you very much. This new normal is tough. Well, let me start by sincerely thanking Professor Naji and his team for the wonderful work they're doing for the Southeast. I know that there's very, very few people who are committed, as Dr. Naji is committed to the progress of the Southeast and the progress of Nigeria. And not just commitment, but doing something that will help to lift the entire Southeast. If only we did not have a government, a system that is designed not to work. So I thank you, Dr. Naji. I thank the organizers of the event, Fanny and team. And I thank the DG for his introductory remark. Mine is going to be more of an interactive section where I need to learn also on what is happening in the Southeast. I just speak to the topic because it was very direct. The Southeast pre-COVID. But it is important that while we want to talk about pre-COVID pandemic, that we look at where we are coming from, especially in the entire Nigeria, because whatever we do, whatever we try to do in the Southeast as a people will be affected by the global space called Nigeria, one way or the other, in terms of government policy, in terms of government commitment. And as you know, pre-COVID, like they said in the COVID situation, that if you're sick or you have underlying illnesses or condition, with COVID, it worsens. It has shown in case of Nigeria, because we have underlying or cumulative effect of governorship failure over the years, the COVID effect is more devastating on Nigeria than it might be on some other nations. Everybody knows our problem with poverty pre-COVID, that we have 98 million people living under poverty. World Bank report of December 10th, 2020 showed that we're going to add about 11 million to that number. This year, we overtook India as a place where we have the highest infant mortality. All the reports so far have shown that we are headed for a worse situation, and we're now in recession within 4 years, the second one, and this particular recession is going to be worse than the first one, because in the first one, we were able to borrow money and threw at it even when the money was wasted. Now we are now in a situation. So we're going to be in a more difficult situation pre-COVID as a nation. COVID have shown us new normal, that technology is no longer something you have in the back burner or in the front burner. And because we have not invested in education over the years, our situation is going to get worse. Yes, a few meetings and everything can go on the way it's going on now, but you could see the situation. And because we don't have the resources, because we have wasted our resources over the years, it's going to be difficult even for government to do anything in the bailout. If you look at what government is doing now, forget all the promises that you're seeing in TVs and everything about how to come out of the COVID. One is that even what is being announced is very low compared to the size of the country. All the countries have been able to study today have been able to pump at least 5% to 10% of their GDP, and these are countries with comparative trajectory as Nigeria, are investing at least 5 to 10% of their GDP to be able to put themselves out of the COVID situation. If you look at India, with a GDP of 3 trillion, they are putting about $300 billion. If you look at South Africa, that is besides us here, with a GDP of $280 billion, they are putting about $26 billion. Every other country, Thailand, Indonesia, everybody is putting at least 5 to 10% of their GDP. I don't need to go through all the numbers for you because I want to talk about the Southeast, how we're going to pull ourselves out of it. But Nigeria, with a population, just as you see South Africa, just to compare, Nigeria with a population of 200 now has a physical and monetary contribution of 2.3 trillion naira, which is about $5 billion. That is not up to what South Africa, a country of 55 million, is putting to sustain and support their SMEs, MSMEs, their micro, small, medium enterprises. They are putting 5.5 billion just for that particular sector. They are putting about 3 billion to create new jobs and about 5 billion to support companies not sacking workers. So if you look at all this, all the small businesses within this COVID situation and lockdown and everything, about 80 to 90% of our micro, small businesses have gone under. And today, they have nowhere to run to. The government is not supporting them. So you're going to see more crises coming in the coming months and years because there's no support. Transporters park their vehicles for 6 months. There are people who are bakers. I've been able to speak to just 2 facilities that are doing bakery in Anambra here. They've collapsed because they were not able to do anything for 6 months. And nobody is asking them, how are you going to start again? Those that used to sell bread, they live on day to day. I give a typical example. I have 10 young people whom I gave a loan of 10,000 naira each. They used to go and buy bread at 250 naira each. They will buy 40 loaves every day, and they will come to a place like Happy Waker and sell the bread at 300 naira. At the end of the day, they will make 12,000, 2,000 profits. They will save 1,000, use the other 1,000 to pay for transport, for feeding, and again save some money for accommodation. For 6 months, they didn't do anything. So all their savings over the months have been spent because of the lockdown. Now they need money to start, and there's nobody. The microcredit banks don't have funds to lend to anybody because the money that is supposed to be channeled to microcredit bank have been used in orthodox way of sharing it by politicians rather than the banks funding the banks so they can lend to this. So coming to the Southeast, in all these, we are still, Southeast still remain the most economically viable and stable of all the regions because of our spirit of entrepreneurship. And if there's anything that is required today, pre-COVID, and to pull us about it, it is what I can say we already have, and that is the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. Economies of the world everywhere depends on innovation and entrepreneurship. What we are seeing today, various countries are driven by these 2 items. We have to look at agriculture. COVID situation has shown that food, especially being sufficient in food production and even for export, is critical. People will always say to you, well, maybe we don't have the land in the Southeast. The Southeast as a space is bigger than the entire Netherlands. or about the same size. But I believe it's bigger. Netherlands, yes, last year and a year before, exported food items worth $110 billion. The export for flour alone is $10 billion. The export for vegetable is $8 billion. Nigeria, within the same year, earned less than 15 billion in oil. And this export, I'm talking for Netherlands, on top of food being in Europe, where you have the cheapest food, is Netherlands. Thereby, this is one area where the Southeast, especially the youth, have to focus and put their energy in seeing that they participate fully in it. The other areas are, like I said, in entrepreneurship, with innovation, every businesses you see today, every business we celebrate today started very small. Do not look at the big companies. I'm going to give you 2 examples, foreign, 2 examples, local. Today, all of us celebrate Apple as the biggest company in the world. But everybody knows that Apple started from a garage as a small business. Today is a company worth 2.1 trillion. The entire GDP of Africa is 2.2 trillion. So you can comfortably say that Apple and Africa, you can comfortably say that African GDP is not equal to the valuation of Apple. Everybody knows that Facebook started in the dormitory. Mark Zuckerberg started in his dormitory. Today, that company is valued over $800 billion, more than the entire GDP of West Africa put together. And so many other companies. I'm just giving you to show the size of the company and what they are worth. We have our own Innocent, who started from small importation to assembling bicycle, to assembling motorcycle, and today into car manufacturing. You can go on and on. It's littered all over the place here. So maybe we started small businesses. So my contribution to the younger ones is look how you can think out of the box. Be creative, be innovative, and the passion for entrepreneurship. There's opportunities of things to do. As we're now grappling with oil as a declining asset, oil is not a baggage. The world has moved from baggage to knowledge economy. As we now move towards knowledge economy, everything will become global. So look at what you're going to do to be able to create that which is not there in terms of products, in terms of services, in terms of so many things you can do to be able to do something different that can be converted into an enterprise that will generate money. For our government in the Southeast, it is time to look at how to build various corridors, micro, small, medium, enterprise groups, corridors like what is happening in Aba, it is time to look at how do we, as a people, ensure that Aba gets all the support in power, in resources, to be able to support the small businesses. We need to replicate the same thing in Onitsha. We need to replicate the same thing in Newi. These are something that is not sophisticated. The youth there are full of energy. All they need is resources. What is happening here, the greatest thing the micro, small businesses need is a proper government articulated fiscal and monetary policy directed at supporting them with access to funds. It is critical. And I'm sure, don't think that starting business for the youth, don't think that starting business, you need a huge amount of money. It is wrong. I'm just giving you an example of people who are selling just bread. They're able to, one of them who has done very well, like I said, sells 12,000 naira worth of bread daily. His profit is 2,000. He saves 1,000, spends 1,000. In a month, was able to save 25,000. In a year, he had 300,000. Because he's done it over the years now, he now owns a big shop. He now owns a facility. He's now moved into a one-bedroom flat and been able to do so many other things. And like I said, the examples are endless. People who are doing other type of things and everything. And these are the things we need. And we want to encourage you, especially the young ones. Don't look at it as, oh, government will give me job. I just giving you a bread seller who will save more money than somebody who is being paid minimum wage of 30,000 because it makes 2,000 a day. At 30,000, you will never be able to save 20,000. And this is just one, and the list can go on and on and on. So there's so many things to do. Do not look or wait for the government to give you a job or move around thinking that there's free lunch anywhere. It is time for you to take over. Creativity, innovation, and spirit of entrepreneurship will drive the future. And the opportunity is global. It is not going to be just Nigeria. The world is looking for programmers, they're looking for all sorts of things, little services. And these are the things we'll export tomorrow to be able to earn the needed foreign exchange to propel the country. So once again, I thank the organizers for the opportunity of this. I'm working on interactive section. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your, as usual, extremely inspiring and uplifting combination of statistics and practical tips on how we can make a difference. I will still hand back to Professor Batanaji to make some commentary before we start to move on what you're saying, but certain words just jumped out at me, and they're consistent with your examples with the statistics. creativity, innovation, and the spirit of entrepreneurship. You cannot rely on a salary to achieve anything substantial you want to do. You should instead be trying to give other people salaries. Prof?
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. This is the whole reason for asking you to do this for us, for the region. And you've done fantastic. It's about knowing exactly how to grow economy, how the youths can participate. This is what you have been able to give us: spirit of entrepreneurship, creativity. The fact that when we look at the country, our own total export in oil is about, or income in oil is about 15 billion, as you've given to us. That 15 billion is nothing compared to just what we can generate um, from the youths participating, young people participating in themselves to grow the the economy. Each person being able to do what he can to support himself. This is what we have to focus on. Man, this is an environment of greatly talented people. So I want to thank you very much for this wonderful speech that you've given to us, and we look forward to the interaction.
I think we should take our questions of His Excellency now, and then as we go through, I know from experience in other rooms, Your Excellency will give us a bit more time so that we can, other things that are said by other presenters. This conference is very much youth focused. A lot of our people either work with the youth or themselves are youth leaders, inspirational young youth leaders themselves, because this is what we need to do to drive that change. But Prof, your questions.
So yes, I have a question, Excellency. You know, a lot of our young people gravitate towards politics. They want people come to you, to all of us, and I say, I want to be counselor, I want to be this, I want to be that. And advise to young people that it's not really how you even get into politics. That's not when you finish your university or while you're even in the university, you begin to do politics. That people have to learn how to do certain things so that they will be able to uh, be able to stand on their own. Maybe you can say something about that, because it's important for young people to be focused on this issue of entrepreneurship and using their talent for innovation, so that if you're going to get into if they're going to get into politics, ultimately they have something to hold on to. So, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, let me thank you very much. Prof, that is a very critical question. For me, I've said it severally. Politics is not a source of livelihood. It is a source, it is for you as a service. The reason why you see people gravitate towards politics, which pro-COVID will help us to solve, is that because we live in an economy or a country that is not productive, the reason why you see our country collapsing today, that is not a productive country. By then we make to, that is why the youths will now have to take back the country and make it a productive nation. They used to look at people like you and what you were trying to do, what you're trying to do today, which will be part of what we're going to talk in this country in the future, to show what a country can be if the system have supported you and your effort, we need to create. No country has been able to grow being unproductive. Nigeria and the Southeast today is an unproductive area, nation. And because of it, we're collapsing. That is why we're the only country you can study. In 2015, our country was 2014, our country was growing at 6%. Within 20, by then we were owing, our debt was under $30 billion. And our GDP and per capita, our GDP was about 500, our per capita was about $250, $2,500. Today, we have borrowed additional 70 billion. So our debt now is about $100 billion. And our GDP is 400. Our per capita is now under 2,000. We are now growing at minus 6%. There's no country that I've studied that have thrown away money like that, because we have thrown the money into consumption. And that is why the young ones want to go there. But where they're going is actually what is trying to make this country physically unviable. What we want to do is to put them out of there and say, you make more money by being involved in a productive sector of the economy. That's why I gave example that all the companies we are celebrating today were started in a garage, and they have the talent and the edge they can use to do that. That's why I gave example of issue of our land space, that Netherlands is about the same size as the Southeast. They are 41,000 square meters of land, and we are 41,000 square meters of land. And if they can export just food, apart from other products, 110 billion, we can do the same thing. And it's these youth that have the innovative mind, creative mind, and knowledge to be able to drive that. So I today preach and tell the young ones, where you're going will not lead you to anywhere. The only thing you can get in politics that you steal. But now even what is to be stolen, we're going to steal is no longer there. So we need to get people to the productive side and make it work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. As usual, plain, straight talking, and to the point. Corruption will take us nowhere. It actually causes more damage than it does than any other thing. It is back to the issues of an entrepreneurial spirit, creativity, and innovation. We will come back with more questions for you, Your Excellency, as we go along. And indeed, you may have further pearls of wisdom to share with us as you listen to other presentations going along. I'm particularly looking forward to some of the younger presentations that are going to come up, which I believe are in the spirit of what took Alibo to where it is and where it should really be. I will now call the chairman of SEREDEC to give us a goodwill message for this our event. Professor Naji, please.
Thank you very much. First, again, let me thank Your Excellency for really coming to speak at this first virtual New Normal Summit of the Southeast Economic Southeast Economic Summit. First, let me say something about SEREDEC. The formation of SEREDEC was about finding a way to give support to development of the Southeast region. And we've been watching, many of us have been watching and seeing that that governments working together, they require the private sector to be able to do this. Professor Twanya, in his speech, did say as much. And I must actually thank the Southeast governors for being able to have this forum and have a secretariat, and in selecting Professor Twanya to be the Director General. It has been quite helpful in getting getting things organized. And actually, the DFID Pearl Arc had provided tremendous support for this to be happening. So there's a lot to thank the DFID team, and that's how we have the blessing of Dr. Mark Abani, who is actually we got him to pleaded with him to be executive director of this SEAS, having formed it. But really, in terms of the SEREDEC, we looked at sustainability. We've wanted for the various regimes of government, as they do whatever they do jointly, for there to be a way to continue fundamental things. SEREDEC is about those things that will be difficult for each government to do, and things for which jointly the governments can do with private sector. And that's why when Professor Toya was talking about rail line, talking about gas pipeline, those are things that are difficult for a government to do. And so we are now able to do, to undertake such initiatives. And I'll give you an example. Enyimba Economic City is taking off in Aba. The Gazette was assigned last week. It was announced that it's been gazetted. It's a 10,000 square meter area in Abia State, where the intention is to have a free zone. They have a free zone. They have license for a free zone. It's been gazetted. The federal government is participating. Abia State government participating. Private sector, led by a very dynamic, hardworking man, Mr. Dalozu, is leading the effort, investing his own personal resources to see that this takes off. The intention is to be able to bring in major manufacturing enterprises from across the world to come to situate there in that economic zone. With that, you can build and export because it's a tax-free haven. It's going to have, it's like a brand new city being developed in that area. And the person who is leading the effort has a lot of experience, having developed a number of estates, including Crown Estate in Lagos that is traded on the stock exchange. It's the kind of initiative that we want. Now, geometric power that is providing power to Aba Metropolis, about 9 local governments of Abia State. Abia State has 17 local governments. It provides power to 9 out of the 17. And just like what Governor Peter Obi was saying, that we have 41,000 square kilometers in the southeast. The geometric power provides electricity to about 4,000 square kilometers, which is about 1/10 this area of the southeast region. Now, this Enyimba Economic City is within that area of electricity coverage, and so provides electricity. So what you see is the infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, supporting the development of that economic city, and there is going to be a rail network that will come from One Port to that economic city. There are a number of things oncoming like that. And it becomes possible for transportation of goods from the port to all the way to Onisha, to Newi. And you begin to see the synergy of development within the region and within the country. I mean, just imagine, Aba is a place where you have big government business. But cotton comes from the north. And you can imagine with very good rail network, the cotton will be can be transported down south, and the where garment is produced and exported. So the whole country benefits from such symbiotic relationship. And I believe that regional development is important in the nation, because then you have, like in most places, like in America, you have various states saying they have certain things they produce and that they are known for in the nation, for the nation. Some manufacturing, some agriculture, some technology, and we can be about manufacturing. We can be about value addition to agricultural products. So there are just a whole lot of things. We are very much excited about the possibility of entrepreneurship, using talent to grow the economy, and being able to provide infrastructure. So SEREDEC is about motivation and drive to have this achieved in our region. And therefore, the summit series is to continue that sort of dialogue on how we can continue to move forward. This version of the summit is a very exciting one, because now it even makes it possible that people can chime in from all over the world and participate in it. So, Dr. Bani, this is a small contribution I want to make. I want to thank all of you who have been really doing much to ensure that we are able to talk to one another about development in a meaningful way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. The chairman of SEREDEC, a man of many hats, and indeed the power behind geometric itself. So, Eku Eme is not just talking, he's walking the talk as well. May I now call on the Professor Otanya, the Director General of Nigerian Governors Forum, but this time a man also of many hats. I would like to call him in his capacity as the Secretary to the Enugu State Government to give us a goodwill message from His Excellency Governor Ugwuanyi, also known as Buruburu. Please, Professor Tanya, thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the former governor of Anambra State, our own son with whom we are well pleased, Mr. Peter Obi, the former Minister of the Federal Republic, Professor Barton Maji, the rapporteur, coordinator, Dr. Mark Abani, a man again of many parts, distinguished panelists, distinguished participants. This is goodwill message from His Excellency, Governor of Enugu State, Right Honorable Dr. Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, on this special occasion of the 5th Southeast Economic Summit. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the chairman and members of board of SEREDEC, Your Excellencies and distinguished participants for this summit. I bring you good tidings and felicitations from government and good people of Enugu State. Enugu State is in the hands of God, and when we came on board in 2015, we handed Enugu State to God, and we thank God that He's been guiding our state, been guiding our people. So this awesome God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, and the God of David, we give Him glory, we give Him adoration. Enugu State today is secure because God is with us. It's ranked by the 2019 report by the Nigerian police as the safest state in this country. We also want to say that we have played host as the former capital of Southern Province, former capital of East Central State, the former capital of Old Anambra State, and the former capital of Old Enugu State, and today the capital of Enugu State. We have played host to previous summits. It is not surprising because Enugu State is home to every Igbo man. We therefore want to say that we miss you today. We miss SEREDEC, we miss the participants, because our state would have been bubbling. We would have hosted our former governor, but we still thank God that we're alive. We'll get beyond COVID, and we still get together again. I want to thank the organizers for this summit, and I want to thank them for ensuring that with or without COVID, we can march forward together. You will recall the efforts of the Southeast governors in ensuring that our international airport is back. I am happy to say that Enugu State government were in the forefront of ensuring that that airport is back. We not only relocated the M&A market, we relocated the mast, and we also provided perimeter fencing. As we speak, the state government is spending more than 200 million naira in providing modern toilet facilities to the international airport. We cannot overemphasize the importance of that airport because we know, just as His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi pointed, and we therefore believe that that airport will play a very pivotal role in sustaining the economic development of the Southeast. We have ensured that the ease of doing business in Enugu has been made much easier, coming within the first third of all the states of the Federation in ease of doing business index. We are also happy to say that after Lagos and Rivers State, Enugu State is the next in terms of fiscal sustainability. We can therefore say that the Southeast is prepared to take the next leap forward in terms of development. And with a summit of this nature, we believe that we are on course. I therefore want to thank you on behalf of the good people of Enugu State and to wish you well in the course of your deliberations. Enugu State is truly in the hands of God. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, speaking through our multi-talented DG and Secretary to the state government. Thank you so much for those kind words and for ever being the host. I will now ask Mrs. Uchoma Egwatu, who is the regional manager for the FCDO. Those of you like me in the old world will call it DFID, Pearl program, who have been providing tremendous support on this journey that we'll be making at the Southeast Summit Group. Madam?
Thank you, Dr. Mark. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. Permit me to stand on the already existing protocol and welcome everyone to this summit, the 5th Southeast Economic Summit. I bring you greetings from Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office Partnership to Engage Reform and Learn, a governance reform program working in 7 locations in the country trying to facilitate reform of governance systems. I bring you greetings from the National Program Manager, who is supposed to be the one making these goodwill remarks but is unavoidably absent. We are delighted to be part of this 5th Southeast Economic Summit. And we want to say that we are proud of the work SEREDEC has been doing in facilitating a regional approach to Southeast economic development and continuing to provide a platform for stakeholders to come together and address issues of common interest. PEL, like Mr. Mark said before, Dr. Mark Abani said, has been providing support to this process since 2017. And we are happy to see that this summit has been sustained even in the face of COVID. So we must commend SEREDEC for that. And the emphasis of PEL actually has been on experience sharing and for stakeholders around the region to keep learning from one another, keep taking advantage of each other's comparative advantage, keep pulling resources together to achieve economies of scale. So we are happy to observe that a lot of progress has been made from the first time this summit started in 2017 up until now. So we want to see this process being sustained. So we are urging SEREDEC to see how they can adopt a sustainable model to ensure continuity, to ensure that this process is being funded, and to ensure that broader stakeholders are brought on board to ensure that things keep moving on to the towards the desired goal. So thank you very much, and I wish us a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Egwatu, and thank you to FCDO Pearl for the support all through. We have had other partners who have come in and done their own bits, and some more we're expecting to come in again. Now I'm going to give a background presentation on previous Cs on what we've been doing and what we intend or hope to achieve at the outcome of this virtual Southeast Economic Summit, which in itself, I believe, is living up to some of the exhortations of His Excellency P2B for innovative and creative approaches to making sure things remain online. I would also forewarn His Excellency that we already have got a couple of questions online. You may decide to have a look at them to get ready for when I will call you to answer some of those questions. For those of you on Zoom, we also have a live streaming of this on YouTube as well. So our participation is a lot wider than may be apparent from the Zoom login, and it's across the entire world. So we do hope that everybody who joins in is able to participate. We want it to be more interactive. Could I please have the slide set up? Could I please have the slide set up? Okay, so thank you very much for bearing with us as we set the scene for what has happened, our journey so far. Next slide. So to give you a bit of background, some of this has already been provided by the chairman of SEREDEC, Professor Barton Naji, by indeed Professor Otanya, the DG of the Southeast Governors Forum and the Secretary to the Enugu State Government, and by our Pearl colleagues, especially Uchoma. So by way of background, the Southeast Governors Forum and the private sector partners led by SEREDEC, quite some time ago, 2014, 15, these conversations started, wanted to have a regional platform, and that regional platform has been organized around the annual Southeast Economic Summit meetings. SEAS itself is slowly developing into a quasi-independent activity and event that will hopefully continue to make sure that all stakeholders in the region have an opportunity to share opportunities and work together. It's a multi-stakeholder event, the summits themselves, and provides an opportunity for the government, the private sector, and for citizens to interact on issues relating to the development of the Southeast. As we've said several times, this is the 5th in the series. It's been extremely successful in driving regional thinking and dialogue, because it's one thing to have individual states or even individual town unions wanting to run particular things, but what we need to do is to have the regional dialogue, especially on ease of doing business and regional infrastructure projects, because one road must join into another road in another state, one rail line must pass through another one, so we need to have a regional approach. This one is being held virtually, as we all know, and also in an environment where there are lessons coming out from the NSAS peaceful protests and the impact of COVID-2019, or COVID-19, sorry, let me not invent a new disease. This summit is really focusing around youth as the engine for the Southeast entrepreneurship and industrialization. But in doing this, we are also very conscious of promoting gender balance and promoting industry across the piece and inclusivity. And I say gender balance because a lot of our laws, including some of our traditional land tenure and indeed our treatment of our Uriakos, our Udoziakos, and our partners falls far short of what would allow us achieve our full potential. Next slide. So the objective of this particular event, and it's called Actions for Success. Unlike many of the current talk shops that I listen to, that we all take part in, we are making this action plan based. And we did an earlier series that was an action plan based, and it actually gave us a lot of progress. We'll show you what happened there. But a heavy focus is on how the Southeast can benefit from the numerous federal government intervention funds, especially for young startups. How the region can mobilize the required investments, especially from Igbo investors, businesses, entrepreneurs, and citizens both in Nigeria and diaspora. And we have speakers who are Igbos in diaspora who are also promoting exactly the same thing. So it will be very interesting to listen to the presentation and to interact and to ask questions. As I say every year, this conversation is the start of a conversation, not the end, and it's a rekindling as we go along. Recent reports have also shown that the Southeast as a region has not had any significant foreign direct investments in the last 2 years. So why is it that we are not being approached? There are things that we as a region should be able to attack and to address in order to make sure we release the full potential to benefit from all of these funds. Now I'll just take you back, because I know some of you are coming on board for the first time, and I won't spend too much time, but this slide deck will also be available on the SEREDEC website for downloading immediately after this event is over. So you can take your time and of course always come back to us for more. So SEAS one in 2016, which had a theme Southeast Economic and Security Summit, had a lot of engagement. Top right hand corner, just give you one of the screenshots of pre-virtual. Some of you watch this and remember how life used to be when we could sit side by side and interact. But at that event, we launched SEREDEC, its vision and its mission, which I've articulated below there, and Prof has already articulated. It's a robust platform to drive sustainable economic growth and social development, to enhance security in the Southeast, and it continues to support think tanks such as the Sea Summit and offshoots of it for developmental strategies, mobilization of resources, coordination of policies, which is extremely important, involving all the critical stakeholders, both at federal, local government, and state levels, and at the community level. And I'm also very happy that we have participants from the town as union associations of the Southeast as well, because it has to get to the roots. That sees also kickstarted the mobilization of stakeholders' commitment to actually doing this under the aegis of the Southeast Governors Forum. Next slide. Seas 2 was repositioning the Southeast for rapid economic development, and key outcomes there was a Southeast Governors Forum driven geopolitical mapping by the Brenthurst Foundation. And it actually went through and asked us some very hard questions. You've got all of these resources. These are the ways you can release them, but these are your bottlenecks. And talking of bottlenecks, we also looked at the bottlenecks and potential actions to address infrastructure gaps, covering agriculture, transport, finance, healthcare, industry, and education, and an agreement of the overarching projects that would make the most rapid changes in our Southeast development. And finally, we also were able to identify during that very interactive session, which was held at Nike Lake, with several hundred people face to face, the key bottlenecks to the ease of doing business covered capacity building, multiple taxation, credit we always ask for, funding, the issues around land tenure or infrastructure we always talk about. This was taking it beyond just identifying these. It was taking it into identifying clear actions that could provide some results. Let's move forward a further year to 2018. Next slide. Next. Yeah. And in this one, our theme was trying to make us an investment destination. And so for that one, we had lots of people coming in from Russia, from Dubai, from so many other countries, in order to try and showcase the potential for foreign direct investment in the Southeast. And the key outcomes were working with the Southeast governments and the private sector stakeholders on the identified bottlenecks. And this has contributed in no small way to the better subnational ease of doing business in the Southeastern states in the 2018 World Bank subnational report. It's done every 4 years. The previous one was 2014, and no Southeast state was in the top half of the states in the Federation. In 2018, I'm happy to say that Enugu was number 2. So Enugu State did extremely well, and 3 out of the 5 Southeastern states were in the top 10 of improvements and so on. So there was a lot that we've done. We've worked with development partners and designed a common regulatory framework for rapid facilitation of business and investment processes across the Southeast. And all of these have led to a greater amount of interest and some actual investment in the Southeast. And we even went ahead to sign an MOU on investment opportunities with the Dubai government and with some other attendees. And we now have a standing partnership with the Dubai investment event that they have, which will hopefully open up and give greater opportunity for Southeast businesses to get international support for what they're doing. And we also conducted a practical review of how the traditional Igbo human capital and utilization strategies are working, and the Igbo traditional model of running business. Because we found that this is even being promoted by international bodies. Amazon has started to try and use the approach. Google is trying to start using the approach. Harvard has written extensively about the Igbo traditional apprenticeship model. And in our studies, we also found out some of the issues, including how we can make it work properly. And fortunately, we have people who are going to be speaking later on from the Aba cluster, one clothing manufacturing, one leather industry. And if you've heard Ken speak before, you will be inspired by what they want and what they can do. And hopefully the geotech power will run that, will give the power that is so badly needed in that area. Last year, the theme was financing the Southeast economic development. And at this seminar, the summit, we were able to give updates on the various infrastructure projects that had been identified and commissioned, starting with SEAS1, including the gas pipeline, which Professor Naji referred to, the rail network, where we now have blueprints and initial plans in place, hospital project, and the adoption of Enyimba City by Abia State government, supporting it and getting into a free trade zone. And this is a very practical step for ARCO, Rulo, that our money come back home. And with doing this one, we will start to create those jobs and those offshoots that will allow the youth to be able to engage. SEREDEC has started to work very closely with Afrexim Bank, and even through the UK Trade Agency. And even though things have been set back a little bit by COVID-19, there are a lot of things that's still going on in the pipeline. And one of our plans is for maybe the next season to actually unveil some of the things that we can do. We also have started to get a number of Southeast volunteers and philanthropists to indicate the investment in a model school for the science, technology, engineering and mathematical approach, STEM. And again, this afternoon, we have, today, we have one of the STEM stars of Anambra State who helped our Anambra girls win the awards internationally in the US and other places. And we want to turn the theory into far more practice, improving the traditional methods of training and certifying the vocational training for youths in order to give them better job opportunities. And some of our previous speakers and participants, including Allo Aluminium and Innocent Motors, now have formal schools where they run apprenticeship for children. When I say children, it's because I'm gray-haired. Younger people to actually learn their trade in a proper environment. So things are happening. Then let's come to, so it doesn't look back. Let's come to where we are today. Next slide. Okay, so let's just glance into future summits, starting with this one. The theme around here is post-COVID economic growth strategy, actions for success. And what we hope will be the outcomes of this particular event are that we will have actions to promote economic growth. So we will in the process get specific actions from our interactions and conversations today. We want actions that focus on special fundable and partnership or mentorship driven projects for the youth and gender balanced employment with a technology input on startups. And we have Gerald, who's the former managing director of Galaxy Backbone, who will be giving us a roadmap on how we can run ICT, how the government's working with the private sector can have ICT to allow all of our clever youths. And I'm always amazed when I interact with them about how they can use this technology to become the future Facebooks. Tommy Lube is an international serial entrepreneur of Igbo extraction. On average, he sells one of his companies every 4 or 5 years for several $100 million. All of them are internet security. Farm Crowdy is a young Igbo guy who has now brought the finance and agriculture together online in a humongous way. And we also have, for any of you who do your verified by Visa, that again was a startup company that was formed by 2 young Igbo guys and was also sold to Visa for millions of dollars. So we have our own Bill Gates and our own Mark Zuckermans, but we need to come out of this conference understanding what we can do as a region to allow these industries run. We want to have suggestions and actions to provide funding of socio-economic projects for the most vulnerable segments of our population, the women, who we often forget, even though they are the backhorse and power bone of almost everything that we actually do in the ground. Our restless and restive, unemployed young men and women, and we need to capacitate them to take care of their basic human needs like food security, housing, healthcare, and family obligations. And His Excellency P2B alluded to this in his opening remarks. When somebody has some personal dignity, it allows them to actually engage more. And finally, we're sort of trying to build and foster all Southeast-based groups with a focus on Southeast development so that together we can do more. One of our biggest issues is that we often divide. We can divide to achieve lots of things, but ultimately we need to come together, and we hope that future Seas summits will be an area where we can come together, share the achievements we have made in our different groups, and encourage each other and decide what are the priorities and what are the signages and symbiosis so that all of these groups can make a greater impact. Thank you very much. So you can. So this is sort of the background to what we are doing today. And His Excellency P2B, as usual, was able to key into exactly what we are talking about and to start to give practical examples there. We are now going to move on to session 1. But just before I do that, can I ask His Excellency P2B, have you had a chance to have a look at some of those questions from the younger people? I know there was one on money, as usual. If you could please.
I wasn't seeing it very clear. You have to act.
Okay, can you put it up so I can read it?
Or you can ask it so that I can just take
sure.
it now.
Yeah. This is from Chibueze Obi George from Imo State, living in Enugu State, so already a multinational Igbo person within our region. And the question was, P2B, what do you advise young people who have the skills and abilities but no money or access to money? How would they get the necessary support? So those were the two key questions. This one is really the question I'm sure everybody is wanting to ask. Your Excellency.
Well, let me start with that last one. Is that, like I said before, that the greatest impediment to the youth is being able to have access to funds. That is not an easy question to answer, because I would even throw it even to the SEREDEC to be able to help. Because when I was studying what they need to do for the Southeast, my thinking is that this is the time for even the region to look at how to set up a robust micro credit bank that will cut across the region and support what I said before, entrepreneurship. There must be a coordinated fiscal and monetary policy that will be able to drive this process. Today, you hear announcements about all various supports, and I'm sure you said a lot of people are going to talk how we can access some of the government supports post-COVID or this. I can tell you, most of those supports are announcements. Nobody has been able to access anything. And the banks in Nigeria are not supporting businesses because the economy is not private sector led. People are not supporting business. If you look at the entire banking loan today in Nigeria, as at the last time I knew,
I think we have lost His Excellency P2B, but we will always grab hold of him anytime he comes back on board. We're now going to move on to our first session, which is improving the Southeast business environment. And what we have spoken about is the Southeast is a recurring issue in all SEAS events. And although there have been improvements, as I said, on the World Bank ranking, but as Zebediah used to say, I would like to I-mark it, not ear-mark it, which means I want to see it and not hear about it. And that's precisely what His Excellency P2B has been referring to in reference to a lot of announcements. Service delivery remains a big issue. And although we've been doing work with the various states across the piece, we find out that there are still some people who do not understand that service delivery is key. You just really get out of the way to allow businesses run their things efficiently. And there were very interesting issues that emerged from the Pearl study with SEAS about younger participants and the failures, things that were causing the model to work. So I'm very pleased to introduce our panelists, and then we'll ask them to unmute themselves as I call them. May I ask Madam Mrs. Uche Onwarebu, our STEM expert, to please unmute and just say a couple of words about herself before we come to your presentation.
Hello everyone. Good morning. I know you can all hear me.
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. My name is Uche Onwarebu. I am very, very passionate about bringing STEM education to the classroom and to make sure that our younger generation are equipped with the quick skills for tomorrow's workforce. Our program is currently running in some secondary school and primary school, knowing fully well that catching them young becomes very easy for us to grasp them, to know what they should do now and what they should expect in the future. So that by now,
Excellent. I will give you 5 or 10 minutes to actually make a presentation. I know you're very passionate about what you're doing. Mr. Oji originally told me that he had some problems. Have we got him online now?
Yes.
All right. Can you please? Okay, Mr. Oji.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please, could you just introduce yourself and your company? Then we'll come back to you for the discussion.
Sure. I mean, I've been currently connecting with the DP so what is it? The center said for me to mention that I think on the issue of business environment. Well, right now, I'm not going to the basic of defining what a good business environment should be and all of that. But let's look at the Nigerian society today. It's not easy and the reference point. Few weeks ago, we had an unprecedented activity or action that was taking that took place in Nigeria, which is at the local level sort of such a thing taking place. Talking about the youth protest. Now, the youth
Mr. Omoka. Oh, sorry, this is Ken. Ken, normally I was just doing introductions before we start discussing. So if you don't mind, we'll keep you on the phone, and in a few minutes we'll come back and take your presentation, but we can hear you over the phone. Is that all right? Thank you. We're all learning new ways of working. So if I can come back to Emmanuel Azubike, who's here with us to give us a about 7 or 10 minutes about what the project is and what actions we can take. Really, what we want are actions we can take that will promote regional integration and create jobs and value for the Southeast. Your time starts now.
Thank you. In the Southeast, the issue of unemployment of India, development of India, everything of India. But the discussion on the change and delivery we are looking at is by one attitudes by the leaders, either the government, private sectors, or donor agencies. And the way we've been doing things before in the Southeast is quite different from other regions. By the time you look at the Southeast area, the economic situation is mainly on trading, not on production. For instance,
Speak a bit louder.
are you hearing me? Okay? Alright. For instance, in the area of agriculture, our attitude towards farming and agriculture is that is a poor man or never do well business. But today, the Southeast, almost 90% depends on the importation of food from the northern and western region of this country. They are leading us to a lot of capital flight from the region. Two, the way policy the government are using in funding agricultural projects without even thinking about the subject matter specialists in that area is also another problem. The big challenge is about the unemployment development of the Southeast region and the delivery. But the whole challenge is about unemployment and the way forward creating a job for the young generation through coordinated means. We are going to suggest that if there will be a proper education for our youth to adopt agriculture and farming as a business, because when we're using these two languages, agriculture means for technical and research, while we're using farming is mainly for what? Production, processing, packaging, and utilization. In the agricultural value chain down in the Southeast, which is a sustainable opportunity if we are going to invest on it to create more jobs. For instance, here, the Southeast depends only on day politics in the western Nigeria to get their day politics. But down here, there are hatcheries you can establish with less than $20, $30, $40, $50,000 and have a direct partnership with the hatchery technologies from Israel, Holland, Germany, and France. Again, in the agri-value chain of our needs, we have not really done what we call a farmer census in the Southeast. All we are doing is political farming. They are creating a lot of problems for the young generation to come into. Like the adoption when we are in Israel. The Israel method of the Greek model is where the government acquires lands, recruit the youths, train them about farming business, create an opportunity, a micro estate for them to live. From there, they develop on their own, and government have a buyback program, thereby feeding the nation and exporting to others. Here again in the Southeast region, we have a cooperative advantage in palm, cassava, banana, plantain, pineapple, cashew. If we adopt that mechanism of in-situ farming, like what His Excellency did, Michael, where you can see a stretch of cashew from through down to Ibe to Isuj via to Kochi River, and have been there since 50 years, creating jobs, sustaining the economy of the Southeast, even part of the pineapple estate in the South Nigeria before the Eastern region is still there. And we are not looking at that. If the intervention we are looking into, with the opportunity to have a federal government that's saying you can access 10 million, you can access 2 million, 5 million, the South region can now come in and say, okay, Igbo is good for oil palm, Agra is good for cashew, and Ebony is good for rice, Anambra is good for vegetable, Enugu is good for cassava. There are micro loans that are directed to be given to these core farmers, young men. When they see the beauty of farming, they will remain in the farming operation by creating an easy farm where they will be out of their village. But here, When you now say association of farmers association, you see ODM really coming in, and when you now ask them, can you apply technology in agriculture? They will not ask you what is technology. And when you're telling them what the challenges of climate change in agriculture, they will be telling you what is climate change. But then they are seeing the effects. Within the little 0.8 hectare they are farming, they are not seeing a return on harvest and tonnage because the climate change problem has reduced the nutrient release of our soil right now in the southeast. We have to improve for our soil nutrition to make sure that the crop industry thrives well to feed what the southeast populace. Then coming to the government, the policies they have in agriculture is just to accept money. We have 50 billion naira for it, 30 billion naira for that. But in reality, it doesn't translate to job creation, food production, and accessibility. Because if you check the whole zones in Nigeria, high cost of feeding is high, expensive down here. A plate of food here, you're talking about 1,800 naira, 1,000 naira. Is that what a family can feed on? And by the time the government, stakeholders, the rural partners come together and say, let us develop this model of micro enterprises where the market works for the poor will be able to grow.
So can you give us a specific action that in your experience or in the programs you're running actually is one?
Okay. The experience we have in the Niger Delta area is that no coastal disease is a challenge in the Niger Delta. And after doing a result, I said, okay, look at the way we can do it. We're now doing what we call nurturing the people. Select people from the very community, young people, train them on vaccination, how to manage vaccines, how to transport vaccines. Now train them on how to grow in poultry production using a high-yield low bed that we call modular bed. From there, the people will be able to see how to treat, how to manage biosecurity, vaccination, and today, if you go to the market in Niger Delta and in Southeast, what you'll be hearing is the Okoko Israel, which is what Moila, because it will resist diseases in the environment and it grows faster. When you wait for 6 months, you will see the result of investment. Some of those best goes for 8,000. Unlike when you compare with the Corona that has a lot of challenges. And this goes in. In the area of cassava, people were trained as production, multiplication of cassava stem, form and feed and grow vitamin A. Making money and availability of stem cultivars for what? Cassava production. And linkage to companies like Nestle in production of seasonings for them. In oil palm, people were trained on how to establish oil palm plantation. Source about those siblings in partnership with other multinational like Seat in the my River State. And people were able to sell their palm fruit to them. And again, introduce a small scale processing equipment where these people can process this oil and how this quality oil that is in the market. And let's say have come across. But what we are not saying is, if there is money, we suggest an advice, let the government invest on small scale machines. Like yesterday when I was coming, I met a man with 6 bags of starch, maize starch, coming from Owerri to Enugu, where they imported that maize starch from China and they needed it here in Enugu. Then how much does it cost to establish a maize starch production company? $10,000, $20,000. And people can do it. And within this environment, you see activities going on and job will be created. Because when you're looking about job creation, it's not only the issue. Catch our little young, like what the Israelis are doing, these Kibit for mutual services, between 18 years and 35 years. You will go to Kibit and spend 6 months, 1 year. Immediately the money is saved, you start on that one. But if the organization decides is not saying, okay, each state government will say, sorry then, take this amount of money. Let's see the prototype in our state. For instance, in Ebonyi State, there are rice crop. By the time you allow the big investors to come in, they will mop out the land, which is land grab. The small farmers will manage it. But by the time you allow it, let it be an integration, partnership. I have 1 hectare of land. It will cost me 500,000 to start planning, cultivation, harvesting, and processing. and I'm going to make 5 tons of rice, which is what? 100 bags, 20 bags of rice. I'm going to say 20,000 naira. I'm having my 1 million naira, and I have a profit of 200,000 at the end of it. That's the kind of thing. So in Ebon, it was have a rice field of a young man of 20 or 30 in a place. By the time we do that, we have in a Imo, and when you plant estate, 1 hectare, like what we did in assessment, found out that with the 3 million, you can get 1 hectare of land of oil palm from clearing to harvesting for 2 years, and you take care of the payment and the money. So when you use that thing to do your budget, look at how much I'm going to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Those are excellent practical measures. Build on the model being used in the Niger Delta states, but work together, government sector and private sector, to actually make some of these dreams realities. And for those who get afraid when you say $10,000, even in this day and age of the expense of dollars, that's still 4-point-something million, which is still well within, and our next session is going to be about funding. Is Ken Daniel still online? Can you please put him online? Ken, can you hear me? So Ken, can you hear me? Okay. Ken, can you take about 5 minutes to give us some practical actions that the government and the private sector investments can do in the Aba leather industry to make a change and involve the youths?
Local government normally do is to go around those who are producing things that are exportable. Once they get those people, they'll call them and ask them, what do they require? Are they youths? Are they married? Do they need a car? Do they need a vehicle? And stuff like that. Once these answers are no, the government or the local government will give them certain amount of money that will require them to provide all they needed. So, and this, when this money fund is expanded to them, it will take about 20-25 years to repay. But I'm not saying because maybe because we are not as rich as Turkey, but Southeast as a region will come together, develop a fund, go a long way to assisting this SME. Because when you look at the economy of the Southeast, these SMEs in Ghana is the biggest in the entire West Africa. And once we develop the garment industry, the leather industry, honestly, we are going to have a very big leeway in the region. So, generally, in conclusion, let me put it this way. We have to provide light manufacturing equipment, not those the heavy ones. I went into that recently and I've seen what it cost me. So, but others can be assisted so that we have these light lashing machines scattered all over the place, and then it will increase our production capacity so that we can compete favorably with the Asian tigers and every other nation that is producing. Right now, Aba is established as a show hub, as a garment hub. What is needed for us is to consolidate. If we don't consolidate, very soon we'll lose it all. So in consolidating, I suggest equipment assistance and funding assistance for the manufacturers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. And indeed, I have had the privilege of actually going to the hub with you to see how many which is also the same question asked of His Excellency P2B, and that is about funding. But there are also some innovative approaches that some of our other younger groups are doing to try and attract Igbo money back into investment. I'm a great believer in using small bits of equipment. I have a walk-behind tractor that costs 490,000. With the additional plow and harrow, it's a couple of 100,000. And I can tell you that we can do a hectare in 3 or 4 hours. And I've got lots of young people who are now coming to actually learn how to use the equipment and to run it. So what we need are some angel investors and some people who can convert all of the theory into practice in a few places. So we will come back to some of these issues. Thank you very much. Mrs. Uche, thank you. I will come back with some questions as we start to analyze them. Thank you very much. Mrs. Uche, can you please unmute and give us...
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes.
Mrs. Uche, can you please unmute and give us your... Thank you. Your 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes.
What?
Hello.
What?
Hello, please. Madam
Hello,
Uche,
please.
go ahead.
Madam Uche, go
Somebody
ahead.
has got something.
Okay.
Somebody has got something.
Thank you very much. Well, my take on this has been that on unemployment for the youth, I've seen that a lot of concentration are on the youth now, which is very important. But if we look at the future to see that 10 years is actually now, 10 years is not so far. 15, 20 years is not so far. We should start now to start preparing those the now generation for 10 years and 15 years. Because if our youth now are really prepared for what is happening now, we wouldn't be complaining of unemployment. But what can we do right now, to help the youth? Through STEM, there is digital literacy. And there is so much gap that the youth have not been able to harness on this 21st century skills to promote themselves. So I know that there is a lot that the government can do. There is a lot that the community can do. But I also believe that if the youths are listening, that there is a lot that you can also do as an individual to help yourself without so much thinking about what can be done for you. Acquire those skills the much you can. As long as you have your phone, your laptop, and the internet, you can. But coming to my work, I believe that the people we are training now, the people we are training for tomorrow will be well prepared, because we have looked at what is happening in secondary school and in primary school, our educational system. If we are going to tackle the economic crisis of this country, we need to start looking at our secondary school and primary school curriculum. It has absolutely nothing to offer this next generation. I mean, they are acquiring education, but the real truth is the education they are acquiring now, how is it helpful for what we need it to be? We don't want to spend 6 years in secondary school and 4 years in university and still come out and say there is no job or that the country is not ready, while the country did not prepare this younger generation. So what can be done right now is to, with the help of decision and policy makers, I've said it all the time, the curriculum needs to be visited. It is not designed for us to have well-informed youth and well-informed students. They are confused as to what to do. What careers are we looking at? When you look at agriculture, when he said he asked someone if they can apply tech to agriculture, they are confused. So even if the old farmers cannot apply tech, what about the younger generation that is already using tech? What are they doing with it? What do they know they can do with it? So they spend the whole of their time in the university coming out and not being prepared. So our curriculum needs to be visited. If not, we keep having this problem over and over again. You have some youth corps members in the camp now, and they come out not
being ready. They come out and fly their caps as graduates or as a seven corps member. But when it comes to being employable, they are not employable. So why are we doing this when we are neglecting our educational system? The foundation needs to be right if we want to get it right. And that is my take for this. So if the policymakers are listening, I know the government, the state, people that can talk about, that can change the narratives for Nigeria, they should be able to know that our curriculum has to be changed. We need to teach financial literacy. We need to teach about problem solving and be practical about it, not just the theory aspect. And we should also teach entrepreneurship. I know that entrepreneurship is already in secondary school, but they are actually not doing the practical aspect of it. They have to understand that they can be the solution that we are looking for. And with their knowledge and experience in the university, being prepared with the right tools, we can be able to curb unemployment and also help the economy of our country. That is also why we are not forgetting the younger generation in education. The primary school children right now understand what they should be looking forward to, especially those we are teaching about STEM, that are using our STEM curriculum and the secondary school children. So we believe that with the right tweak on our curriculum, that everything is going to be fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ubu. Okay, so again, it's about catching the youth young. The public-private partnership is around making sure that the policies, which we are very excited to drive as part of the SEREDEC work, and you enthused us last year with it, but it's about problem solving and practical actions. And I think that's exactly the same theme that has come from Emmanuel. It's about doing it practically, not just the theory, and using a few examples, because the power of those examples is that when people see them working, more and more people get involved. We have a lot of young and rich and old as well, Southeasterners who have got money but don't know where they can put the money with any element of security. We will be discussing finance. Now, can I ask if there is any clear way of work? Is there any difference, Emmanuel? Is there any difference in the way you work post-COVID?
Okay. On post-COVID funding, there's a window the federal government won't watch, irrespective that it's a government policies, but we'll be able to tell our people to join in. To tell you, last week, Monday, I had a call from some of my younger farmers. Some received 250,000 from the government. Some received 450,000. Some received 1.5 million. But yesterday, another set called me because there's a problem. They said those who has a challenge during the COVID, they were not able to pay their salary to the workers, and they did all this. Yesterday, they were calling them from national office. Are you this? Confirm your account number. Your salary is 50,000. Done. That is all. Maybe by this week they start paying them. But that thing is not sustainable. With an agency, EDI, we are trying to discuss a way forward with the NISRA and CB. If NISRA has 1 million or 2 million to give out, can they run it under a cooperative? That's the model that we will keep on telling this civic model. If I have 3 million naira, 500,000 will give me 1 million. 500,000. A room. And with another 500,000, I will set up a poultry house. With another 1 million, I have 1.5 million, I will have 1,000 layers. That after 6 months, I will begin 900 eggs. Imagine here we have 3 million. I can assess from menstrual 5 years, and 100 people have 300 million, or 50 people have 150 million, and they are in an estate of like 100 plus of land. And anytime you goes in there, you are picking like 100, 300, 200 days of pairs every day. And that is a macro enterprise. What does it mean? You can develop a new city in that community. The issue of rural-urban migration will come down to be urban-rural migration. 3, government assessing this fund back by payment of the principal and interest will be easier because you know that they're in a group and they are young men, they will come up. With ICT we are talking about, we have precious agriculture, we have artificial intelligence in agriculture. All those things involved in that debate model where a little fund will come up, and that's what we're discussing with people. And how do I approach to this? If I'm going to look for a land now, there will be a problem. They thought that I have money. But if I'm coming with a community and say, this is your voice, this is your voice, I want to give them land to farm. They say, let them take. We don't put up about all the necessary arrangement and documentation will pick it into low cost. That is the best way to go. And that's what we're now championing to do. Instead of taking this money for trading, it will fail you. Trading doesn't build the economy of Southeast. Because if we don't produce, we cannot survive. Paracetamol from the West. Take away plate from the West. Take pig from the West. Go down to Port Harcourt, in the north, fertilizer is in the north. So if we don't have those little micro enterprises, we will not survive. And that's why we are looking for funding, so that we can bring it in a micro level and develop. It is practical and it is easier to be done.
Well, thank you very much. What is clear here is that there is no dearth of ideas and quite a number of actions that we are going to take going forward. And they will link very much with the next session that also talks about the youth and the finance. Because, and again, as His Excellency alluded to, there is money that is generally on paper available, and it's about actually making it work. I'm very pleased to hear that COVID support you just mentioned was deliberately to try and pay for staff so that the staff will remain productive. It's being run in many other countries. It's a part of the solution, but not the long-term sustainable solution. So the necessary thing is actually to be able to access those funds. It's also clear the young people you're working with are in the Niger Delta states. Fortunately for us, Imo and Abia are both Niger Delta states. So what we need to do is pick the learning and understanding and positives from Imo and Abia, who are within our states, in order to discuss wider and make sure we have a regional approach that again has test forms. The Igbo approach to business is what I call the bread industry syndrome. Immediately after the war, bread industry started to work and everybody went into bread industry. Then a little while after, cement business started and everybody went into block making. Then we went into building big houses that have no real economic value and everybody started building. Now we're talking about agriculture, but many of the people who are involved in agriculture don't have an understanding of the risks or how to go about it, and so they get burnt. Also remember, in the bread industry, a lot of people who started are not there. But Okachama bread still remains a lodestar for bread across the southeast. Now, it's because of quality and because of standards. And those are also two key criteria that we need to teach the youth when we're talking about problem solving, practical application of science, technology, and engineering and maths. Because if you don't have quality, then your products are as good as useless. And so your starch example is an example. There's a very small window where you can harvest cassava for starch, and after that one, it's only good for frying for garlic, which has got a completely different price structure. Now, I've not seen any specific questions for this particular session, but I will now go back to His Excellency, Peter Obi. You've heard some of the comments here, and you also bear in mind the initial question around finances. Oh, we're sorry we lost you when you were speaking before. Could you please come back in, sir? And for those who are asking, this slide set will be available on the SEREDEC website immediately after this event. And if you have provided your emails, it will also be sent to all of the slides where we use them. Your Excellency?
Yeah, but what question was it?
Sorry? The question was, somebody has got the skills, the attributes, and the willingness, but how do they turn it into money?
Well, like I said before, access to money is really a challenge. You know, it is a challenge, but it's a challenge that needs to be worked within both the monetary, the physical, which is the government, the monetary side, which is the central bank, and the financial system, to be able to fund these young ones. That is the critical goal, to be able to turn around this economy. And I'm also advising young ones that you're not going to look for large money. You may see, for you to start, you need to have millions or have this. It is not true. If you look at it, I was in a coffee shop last week in Abuja called Waffle. A visitor might say, let's meet somewhere. And I said, okay. We went in there. The young girl who owns that facility started it from his father's house, making a few waffles and delivering it. Today, he owns two facilities, one in Abuja, one in Kanu, and is employing 23 with a startup fund of about 250,000. There's similar businesses all over, especially in the Southeast here, where I can tell you, we are saying Onitsha, I can show you people that just started in more minor production, whether it's people who are doing piggery in a minor way, who started with 100, 200,000, and are doing things differently today. Doing it in a way that you say, how did these people start? This is what I advise young ones to be doing well. I am convinced that sooner or later the government will find out that they have no need to be involved in leading this economy, but to support in a way that funds will come from all sources to support small businesses.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency, on the point. And this actually leads us very nicely onto the next section. So can I thank our panelists for participating, including overcoming some of the technical challenges of participating. Thank you very much. Coming up from this, we will be capturing action points, and I'm sure you'll be part of the program. Ken Anyango, who has tried and been able to bring the processes online. Mrs. Uche Onwamegu, who continues to inspire the younger generation. And Mr. Oji Onwuka, who was unable to log in. But the key issue he said to me around the ease of doing business and the youth was that we need to find some way of supporting the apprenticeship scheme. Because a lot of the younger people, in fact, he gave me examples. He owns a clothing manufacturing business. And he's giving examples of some of his apprentices who leave the learning of the trade to go and work as laborers on a local building site because they need money on a day-to-day basis to stay alive till they can start reaping the benefits of their learning and their enterprise. So very much the way that NPQs are run in other countries and various other places, we need to address the apprenticeship scheme in a formalized way that protects both the apprentice and the employer and puts day-to-day living money in these youth's hands so that they can bed down and focus and learn the skills that are required to actually deliver the results that are required. Thank you very much, everybody. We will now move on to our second session. And our second session is the role of the youth in the Southeast economy post-COVID. And really, it's about actions for change and funding the dreams. So already it's clear that there's a theme that runs through across the piece. Our panelists here, can we please confirm they are all online? Gerald, please. Is he logged in? Can you give him a call? Because he is the ICT roadmap and he said he's coming by translate. Mr. Philip Udochi, who is with Sweden. Could you please unmute and introduce yourself before we start, Philip? And thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Okay, my name is Philip Udochi. I work with Smedan, and we work with small businesses and for small businesses. From a policy angle and then from a program angle. So we are on both sides, both supply and the demand side. So it's an honor to be here and to be part of these discussions. These discussions are not new. We've been on this for a very long time, both public and the private sector. But we've always had the challenge of being able to articulate a homegrown funding system for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to be part of these discussions.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to ask you for a short presentation, which will focus on how, what are we doing wrong? That means that we're not accessing these funds. Ms. Chineze Okafor is joining us from the US. It's the middle of the morning, middle of the night actually there. So thank you very much for taking out time. Please could you unmute yourself and give a brief introduction.
Hello, everyone. Sure. So, good afternoon. Thank you so much. I want to thank the organizers for providing me. So, it's a youth-led organization. We call it Alibu Development and Accountability Initiative. And as today's focus is on youth, that's why I'm here today to tell everyone what we've been able to do and the things we are doing to transform the Southeast, to transform Alibu. It's the middle of the morning. It's like 6:30 a.m. here, but I'm so excited to be here. I was really waiting for today. You know, these conversations are very important. We need to keep having them. And even beyond that, we need to even do more work. There need to be action plans to see that all these solutions, all the ideas coming out today, that we really get to implement everything that we've said. So I also want to thank SEREDEC. They've really done well. And I'm just happy for all the things they've mentioned that they're currently working on. So I'm really, really happy to be here today.
Thank you very much. Let me just check with my technical team again. Is Gerald online? Have you been able to make him? Yeah, Gerald, forgive me for being so informal. Could you please unmute and introduce yourself and before we start our discussions? We're promoting, you joined as a participant, not as a panelist. That's our fault, me bad. Have we now promoted him? Excellent, thank you very much. Gerald, please, could you unmute and just give us a quick introduction before we start the session?
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for the promotion.
Is this Richard or Gerald?
Okay, my name is Gerald Ilukwe. I'm actually joining you from Kaduna, where I work at the moment. And this is my second time with the SEREDEC Summit, and I'm happy to be here. And like Chineze said, um, I hope we can do as much action as we do to talk. I think the main thing, even if it is 10% of what we talk about that we achieve, would have gotten some traction. So look forward to contributing my bit.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I know as well you have a very tight program. So I'm very pleased you've been able to log in and join us. So in this session, we're discussing the role of the youth in the Southeast economy. But really what we're talking about are actions for change and funding the dreams of our younger people. What are we doing? How can we mobilize on a regional basis the required investments, especially from Igbo investors, business entrepreneurs, and citizens, both in Nigeria and diaspora. And again, I'll go back to remind us that recent reports have shown we've got very little FDI in the last 2 years. And a lot of our diaspora colleagues have been through the famous old story of trying to build a house 4 times, and the house is never built when they repatriate funds. So it's about having a formal structure that allows them to invest properly in supporting businesses in the Southeast, both their own and in other investment processes. So really, in discussing it, we would like to understand how the youth can access funds to start up their programs. But in the case, I'm going to start with Gerald. For those who don't know, Gerald is the former managing director, CEO of Galaxy Backbone, which is the main IT enterprise across Nigeria. And he's working with a number of states now on a route map that actually is promoting ICT and trying to release it across the piece so that youths can engage fully in it. So if I start with you, Gerald, can you give us a presentation, 5 to 10 minutes on what you're doing and the practical steps we can take? And team, please make sure you have some slides to share. Gerald?
Unfortunately, not. I can put that in subsequently.
Okay, so we will expect
Yeah,
those slides. Thank you.
yeah, definitely.
So talk
Okay.
to it.
So um, there are two sides to what I think we need to do to achieve. One is the foundational enablement, upon which the youth can thrive. And then the second one, of course, are the various initiatives that the youth, that, youth, which I believe last time I checked, not the political youth who are youth of 60 years, but youth between ages of 19 and I think 35 or 45 can actually engage. I'm happy that a brother from um, Philip Udochu from Smedan is here, and because these are the different interventions that will happen. I'll give an example of something that is currently trending. If we talk about the foundation, yeah. Yesterday, the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy with the National Identity Management Agency released the list of companies and government organizations and state governments that were licensed to provide identity enrollment services. Okay? And I took a quick look at it at the state governments. It's out there in the media. And I was disappointed to note that we only have two state governments from the east that have been licensed or have bothered to apply, and therefore we are licensed to get this. And I think it was just Abia and Ebonyi. Enugu is not there, Imo is not there, and Anambra is not there. We're talking about funding youth and other things. The most fundamental element of any form of intervention today is identity. okay, which you build upon KYC and other things and use cases. You cannot fund somebody you don't know. Okay, and identity has gone digital. Okay, and we are missing in it. When I say we, of course, we're talking about Libo, the five, so we only have 2 states out of 5. The other ones didn't bother. I don't know how many of the private organizations that were licensed are based in the East. Okay, so I just give an example of the foundational imperatives that we have to have in place. Okay, I'm not going to talk about technology because if we have about 25 million people, of which maybe 2/3 are youth in the East, or maybe even half, how many of them are going to be empowered directly through technology? But be that as it may, you also cannot um, have them participating in the economy of today without the enablement of technology. I sit here now here in the north, and they're working with foundations. They're working actively with Bill and Melinda Gates. They're working actively, of course, not the foundation, but development partners, foundations and development partners like DFID. Okay, and these programs are youth focused. There are initiatives around coming out of intervention agencies in government. The federal government recently issued um, the Economic Stabilization Plan, which is chaired by the implementation of which is chaired by the vice president. Let it be that we tried and nothing came out of it, rather than we didn't make an effort because we couldn't get ourselves together. All these things, that's where the money is going to technical and vocational education, TVET. I don't know how much we have with TVET. So, technology and other infrastructure funding is key. Um, we, I know it's a few states that are saying, look, we're going to dedicate, we're going to have a program where we will train people, okay, technical vocational education, ICT, skills development, maybe certifications and things like that. When they come out, they will, um, they will, they will be incubated. They will work towards developing their own plans, and we will also go get into partnership with organizations like business schools or business trainers. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is that the end product is that they have their microfinance of an investment state owned that will say, look, we have 100 million naira, let's say for 3,000 graduates of this at 300,000 or whatever that figure works out to, maybe 90 million naira. They actually fund these people. Yes, not everybody, not even half of them will probably make an economic success of the funding they've received. But the ones, it's the same thing with startup investments. The 10% that succeed will make up for the 90% that don't. Okay? What I'm saying is we need to lay the foundation and then bring these people forward and encourage them. Right now, people are alienated. There's a divide between government, the development community, and even the beneficiaries who are the youth. I don't know if I've actually made a point here, but I'll just leave it for now. I think I was told it's 7 minutes. I don't know if that's looking for up to 7 minutes. Or I could be a bit more illustrative.
Thank you very much for that. So already it is clear that some states across the Federation are actively engaging with the process with the federal ministries that drive technology. Indeed, some of those foundational steps you talk about, the ability to work with identity management, also cuts across a number of other things, how they can run databases to be able to make sure that they supply the right things to the correct people. And the fact that we really need to try and make sure we attempt to get some of these partnerships and funds by doing our own basic homework. And really, your states you're working with already on that route, which is much of the work that in the previous section Uche Ugu, Mrs. Ugu spoke about on the STEM. Again, it's turning the theory into practice for us to be able to take the next steps. I will now ask Philip to please give us a rundown in your unique role in SMEDAM, both policy and in partnerships. A lot of us hear a lot about funds that are available, but how truly accessible are these funds and what's holding us back from accessing those funds in the Southeast? We did some studies before with Pearl and SEREDEC, and we found out that although some of these funds are theoretically available, we don't have any significant numbers of Southeast younger people being able to access the ages and all of these other ones that don't even require collateral. All they require is your BVN. So Philip, if you could please talk us through for the next 5 or 10 minutes, that would be really appreciated.
Thank you very much once again. Yes, I'm going to start from the supply of these funding schemes of government. And then I'm going to tilt a little towards, like the last speaker mentioned, towards selection. Now, the problem has always been selection. The schemes are there. There are several schemes. I can give you quite a number of schemes that have been designed to add value to micro, small, and medium enterprises across the nation to fund small businesses. In fact, the schemes have been so redesigned, restructured in such a way that formalization is now embedded in the funding. So there's you want to reach people, you want to get to small businesses, you want to fund them through schemes and grants. I mean, there are grants and loans, but also you want to dangle something in front of them. As they are coming forward to assess these schemes, you want them to be formalized. You want them to go and get their business names registered. You want them to go and get a corporate bank account, open a bank account, separate themselves from their businesses. You want them to get NAFDAC licenses. So going back to what I said earlier, selection is a problem. And I'll mention a few loan schemes. Let me start with the loan schemes. That's Medan. I'll start with partnerships. There's a NISAL AXMIS loan scheme, which is very popular in Nigeria today. The AXMIS scheme, which is the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme, AXMIS. It's the most popular scheme right now in Nigeria. And it's a tripartite arrangement. It's a partnership between NISAL itself, because it's being delivered through NISAL Microfinance Bank. And NISAL Microfinance Bank is owned by 3 entities. NISAL itself, the Bankers Committee, we all know the Bankers Committee, and NIPOS. So this is a beautiful loan scheme that allows an entrepreneur as much as 10 million naira for 7 years at a single digit, at 9%. Now, for you to access this particular loan scheme, you have to do certain things. One, you have to be, permit me to put it this way, you have to be capacitated entrepreneurially. You have to go for an entrepreneurship training for 3 to 5 days. You get a certificate from SMEDAN, and then you start the loan process. So a lot of people have benefited from this AXMIS scheme. But the thing is, it has also allowed a lot of small businesses across Nigeria to be formalized. So that's the advantage of this particular. It was well designed and structured to formalize businesses alongside. So as you are coming forward for the loan, You are getting your CAC. The minimum requirement is to have a business name registration. Now let me move to grants. SMEDAN also has a conditional grant scheme, CGS. It also has that element of formalization and some form of micro-insurance. So the grant scheme is between 50 and 150,000. But before you can access it, you also have to formalize your business. There's a formalization element. The point I'm trying to make right now is that we are not just, it is no longer about supplying funds. It's about making it innovative. You also have to embed some other objectives so that at the end of the day, these people are not just receiving these monies. They are also being formalized, which is what we all want. We want them to move, to migrate. We want more businesses to migrate from the informal sector to the formal sector. But we want to attach an incentive. So it's something that requires collaboration. Now, coming to the Southeast, let me move away from SMEDAN now. Let me come back to the East. Now, we know that these things can happen. We can have our own homegrown funding system in the Southeast. The Southeast, the Southeast can unique, because it has to be unique, and it has to be what's that phrase? It has to be tailored to suit the peculiar businesses that thrive in the Southeast. If you go to Aba, there's a cluster system. Aba will the entrepreneurs in Aba, or the micro, small, and medium enterprises in Aba, would rather have a funding system that will factor in clustering, shared common facilities. You can, so the loan, it doesn't have to be that one size fit all approach. We can design something unique for those in Aba. We know the challenges they have. So we can come up with schemes that will tie them together, that will bring them together, that will make them come together and collectively assess some of those funds. That's one. There was a time I mentioned the Bankers Committee. Remember, the Bankers Committee has been sitting on funds for a very long time. Every now and then, government changes the name. It could be there was a time it was Microcredit Fund. There was a time it was a Smiths Fund. Today, it has snowballed. It's now ACSMIS. So access to it, which is a challenge for small businesses in the Southeast to access. For more of them to access this fund, they have to reorganize. We have to bring in serious entrepreneurship, enlightenment, and education. We have to involve stakeholders, because we need those stakeholders. You need business membership organization. You need a number of intervention programs to reorientate, because that's the problem. Now, let me give you a little, this is a challenge now for the Southeast. I hope we are all aware that the reason why a lot of Southeastern businesses don't access these funds, because number one, they don't even, you know how we are as Igbos. We just have this mentality that anything coming from the center is not designed to suit us. So you know how we are. That's what's that? We have this thing. It's in the Igbos. We don't depend on government, and it's affecting our capacity to access this state-initiated schemes of government. So we need to, like Gerard mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship is key, but it's not just entrepreneurship. We have to look for a way of bringing in incentives, look for a way of making these things attractive to them. I gave you, for ACSMIS, it's very attractive. You have to formalize. You have to be formalized to be able to access it. So it's something that we really need to work on. I expect also that some captains of industries in the Southeast can also play their own parts. And let me just throw this at us. How much does it take to fund a small? What does a micro business need? There's a national policy on micro, small, and medium enterprises developed by SMEDAN and UNDP. Now, there are categorizations. Let me start with micro. A micro business is any business that employs less than 10 persons and has an asset base of less than 10 million naira. That's the standard. That's the definition according to that policy. So if you are going by that policy, we have the muscle to finance as many businesses as possible in the South, in the East. If we're to go by the national policy, I'll try and make that policy available for us if we don't have it. But,
that would be excellent so that we can share it.
Yes, and there's also another one. I hope you know that there's a survey on micro, small, and medium enterprises that was done by NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, and SMEDA. So I know that we don't have data. Even if we have documents like that, how often do we access those documents? So these are going forward. We need to change the way we do things. We need to start re-educating. We need to start on learning and relearning, and then we need to make these schemes attractive. And for now, the most attractive thing you can offer any small business is formalization. That's the most attractive thing. Just tell them, for you to access government schemes or loan or grants, you need to formalize your business. That formalization is key. A lot of our business, sorry, forgive me.
Go ahead. I wouldn't go.
A lot of people businesses in way CAC, and they are making money, a lot of them, but they are not formalized. They are not recognized. They don't have anything to show. So that the level of informality is quite high in the East. Very high.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely true. Can I just throw in a couple of questions?
Yes, please.
Stroke challenges. Formalization involves CAC. I'm not sure how many people are aware of the fact that the process of getting a business name has now been made easier, totally online, and in many cases almost free. And some states are actually subsidizing it. So it would be helpful if you speak around that one. As somebody who also runs a micro business myself, can I ask the second one so you can deal with both of them? I also run a micro business myself that's involved in the food chain. NAFDAC is a thing. What is Smeden doing with NAFDAC to make it achievable?
I saw that coming. Okay, so let me start with formalization, because suddenly we are all loving formalization. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so for formalization, a lot has been done. There was a time the vice president was leading the charge for formalization. In fact, 2 years ago or thereabouts, the federal government reduced it to 5,000 naira.
Yep.
And a lot of southeastern small businesses did not take advantage of it.
Okay.
It was like that. In fact, federal government was practically begging small businesses to come register their business names, to go to CAC, register for 5,000 only. After that wave, because it was under the PEBEC. I hope you're aware that there's PEBEC.
Yes.
The Presidential Enabling Business Council. Now, after that, when COVID-19 came, after the lockdown, federal government also introduced the Survival Fund, the MSME Survival Fund. And one of the components of the Survival Fund is free formalization for businesses. But again, there was a ceiling. Of course, the government cannot formalize every micro business in Nigeria or every small business. So it's still running. It has 4 legs, 4 components. Well, one of the components is free formalization. But of course, we know it won't go around. There's also the payroll support, and then the one for artisans and all that under the MSME Survival Fund. So your second question is around
our friends in NAFDAC.
NAFDAC, yes. I want you to write down, just quickly write, let me give you the website.
Okay.
There's what is called NAPAMS, NAPAMS, which is new, www.napams.org. www.napams.org. From the comfort of your home as a small business, you can register your products, NAFDAC, and it's 80% less now.
Wow.
That is new.
Okay. Can
And I'm
you,
sure a lot of
can you,
Southeasterners
can
are
you
not.
give the address again slowly? Because we're also live streaming on YouTube, and
Okay.
a lot of people will want that address.
www.
Yep.
Dot NAPAMS.org.
Okay.
That is NAFDAC gone online. You can register your products online. You can vote from wherever you are. Just log on and do your thing, and it will cost you less.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
So,
Those are fundamental questions I'm asking because having been through the pain myself, I understand why some people don't get there. But something that seems to have been emerging from this morning is the issues of our actually Igboese. We don't actually believe in anything. We don't actually participate. We don't take the formal steps. We, as governments, don't engage in the foundation laying. We've just got the example of only Abia and Ebonyi, who have, as states, have registered for the foundation levels of them. We don't formalize, mainly because we believe that once we formalize, we'll come into tax nets and various other things. And
very
so
true.
we look at the downsides without understanding that, and I've spent a lot of my life as a taxman, tax is only on profits. It's not on your turnover. So,
but there's a twist now, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a new Finance Act.
Yes.
Which allows, so the tax, yes, your turnover, if you are turning over
25 million unless you don't pay corporation income tax, you don't pay VAT.
Yes.
But
so that's a good one.
But that doesn't apply to business names.
Sure.
So
only incorporated outfits.
Yes. So but there's a lot more out there, and as Igbos, we need to learn to start reading, using, and exploiting the information that is out there. I'm hopeful that for 2021, we will have a whole series of theme-based interventions and sessions so that we can drive this message more clearly to a lot of our younger people. But thank you very much for that so far.
Can I quickly add something, sir?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have now let's look at this from an institutional angle. From an institutional angle, right?
Yes.
So we have the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria. That is a government agency, right?
Yep.
At that level. Now the states are supposed to have, in Enugu, you have the Enugu State Small and Medium Enterprises Agency.
Correct.
Right? Now, I don't know how many other states in the Southeast. How many states do we have in the Southeast? 5.
5.
Now, I don't know how many other states in the Southeast have agencies of this sort.
And ANSIPA in Anambra State is there. All of them have its varying degrees. What the question really would
how
be
functional?
How functional? Yes. But ANSIPA Anambra State was
so that's something for you to think about.
Excellent. Again, this is an action.
It's something for us to think about. Now, yes, so we can also have private, it doesn't have to be public. All these institutions are public. So we can also have private arrangements like that with the same mandate. Thank you very much,
idea.
Sir.
Excellent idea. Private medals.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more work for you going forward. Okay. So thank you so far. May I now ask Chineze Okafor, we can now unleash her passion and enthusiasm from across the pond. Do we have a slide set for her, or give her permission to share her slides? Chineze, over to you.
Okay, yes, I said.
Sorry? Can you give her permission to share her slides?
I think someone has to enable the screen sharing.
Enable screen share for participants.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah?
Okay, while Chineze is getting her screen, I just want to just cap what and insert something. What myself and Philip have spoken about clearly creates a role for SEREDEC. Okay? Because it's about that foundation, it's about, he called it formalization, okay? And it's about training. So SEREDEC can be the glue, should be the glue that holds everything together. Okay, because one of the realities of our region, Southeast, is that over the years, over the decades, we our people have become alienated or ignorant about the former entity. They don't believe. So even if you go to all these schemes and you want to actually profile them and say how many of them are the beneficiaries in the East, the people don't simply don't know. It's also like it manifests itself in politics, where we have lower voter registration and lower voter turnout than other parts of the country. And it's manifesting itself in participating in these um, interventions. So somebody has to be able to come together. Okay, the formalization is about creating a company, but what about teaching people how to write business plans? Okay, and all the things they need to know to be able to for them to go forward and encouraging them to go forward with the applications. Let me stop as Chineda started her screen because I just
Thank you very much.
yeah.
That's a critical item. Chinese, I think you can share your screen now.
Okay, I'm just trying to get that.
Okay, thank you. So it is very important as you're coming online that one of the things participants take away from this is if you lose faith and don't bother to engage, you will continue to lose out on opportunities that would be available to you. Any component at all of it. Excellent. We can now see
Okay,
your
but I'm
slides.
just going to. I hope this is. It says I'm sharing my screen.
No, we can see you. We can see now. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, fine. But I'm trying to see that I also have it here. Good. I'm really, again, I'm happy that I have this opportunity to really discuss with everyone today. He's also very interested and very passionate to see that we do something about Alibo. I like to call myself a development enthusiast. I'm very passionate about when you talk about development in developing countries. So for me, I decided to start, off by looking at the homeland. What can I do as a young person to, see that Alibo works, that that I really do something. And even being in the United States, I felt it should not stop me from doing something because I really had that passion. I was always thinking about it. And even when you meet people everywhere in school, outside, in the buses, train, that the question of how do we transform Alibo, how do we get Alibo to work is on everybody's mind. Everybody talks about, we debate, we brainstorm. So I had to, co-found this NGO. We call it Alibo. Can you see the first screen?
Yes, we can see your title
Okay,
page.
so this is it, Alibo Development and Accountability Initiative. But we also go by Alibo Initiative, to make it very short and easy. And you can also see that's how we, coin the website. So I'm the co-founder. The other person is Onyebuchi Oba. And we also have other young, talented people with bright ideas and so much energy. And we started this, we launched last year, July 2019. And we've been able to do quite a lot. So I want to tell you guys that this NGO is about development and accountability, and I'm going to discuss that very soon. But for today's presentation, I'm going to focus on there is this flagship project we have this year. It's a crowdfunding project. So that's what I'm going to speak mainly on. So I'm just going to go to the next slide. So this is the outline I have today. Talk about the NGO and also the next thing, the CBAP, that's actually the crowdfunding in the project. So ADAI, we're a non-profit here to promote development and good governance in Igbo communities across Nigeria. And in Alibo initiative, when we say Alibo, we actually mean all the 5 southeastern states and the Igbo communities in the neighboring states, Rivers, Delta, all of them. So we want to make sure we work with every Igbo community. And our objectives are, how we need to analyze the community challenges and also develop workable solutions, see how we can support growth and development in any way we can, and also ensure that we are building, peaceful and cohesive society, because we also need to preserve our cultural heritage. And aside talking about community development, we are really strongly advocating for active leadership. We need to have better management of resources to see that there are checks and balances in the system, accountability and transparency. Because if you talk about development, you need to see that the private sector things are getting better and better, that there is improved service delivery and also transparency, because we can't do everything outside of reforming the public sector and ensuring that we have good governance. So this shows the areas we cover. We are looking at issues in agriculture, education, health, environment, because all these things we feel they are really important that we need to get into, and we've been able to touch on some of them. So here I have the past projects we've been able to cover. Last year we had to send doctors, medical practitioners who went to this they went to an August meeting in Imo State. So there we provided medical services to the women that were present for the August meeting. We've been able to also work with Ebony State farmers to set up an agri cooperative society, just to see that farmers are getting more support that they need. And a couple of other things like participating in the clean and green campaign in Abia State. And we've been able to do more other things on sustainable waste management awareness. We had this webinar we organized, and we've also had more outreaches, going out to market areas to talk to people about proper waste disposal. And we want to do more, and in terms of recycling, because we know that that's also another way to get people employed and also generate revenue just for the businesses there. Now, this is now the main thing I want to talk about today. It's the Build Alibu project. We call it BAP. So this is a crowdfunding. We want to leverage the power of EoDB. As Indigo, we like saying EoDB. So this is what we're actually trying to now, get into action. We want to contribute money. Because I know that for some projects that we know we need in our legal, so a lot of them will be capital intensive, but we know that if each person is able to just donate small amounts of money, we can get something going. So that's how we had to set this up. And we know that once we like months into the project, that we really be able to raise enough money to be able to execute the projects that we've put together. And I also want to, but this is also known to everybody, the infrastructural deficit we have in our label. So even when we are selecting projects, we had to make sure that we pick the things that we really, really need to start off with. So when you hear BAP, Build Our Label project, we are all crowdfunding to develop our label. So that's our flagship project for this year. And we launched this one in November 2020. That was just last month, actually November 14th. And we started crowdfunding, but let's still talk more about this. Sometimes they ask us, why are we crowdfunding? Why we have the elected officials? Why do we have to put money down? So what we tell them is, look at the environment. There are many things lacking. As young people, private sectors, we can still do something to just add to what other people are doing, what the government is doing. We don't think we need to wait. Let's see how we can contribute to really, really impact the society. And the second thing is, if we look at our history, we've crowdfunded before. The Sam Mbakwe Airport is a very, very great example that we use. Until date, that airport is still standing. And it was in 1983 that thing started. And today we still have the project. So this is like almost 40 years. So it means that it's really, like, you can actually get meaningful results from crowdfunding. So we said we need to keep doing that, since we feel that this is the time for us to do that. And so the next is, I just wanted to show you guys the list. This is a sample of the donations from the when people crowdfunded for the Imo airport. I'm sure some of you have seen this, but I just needed to bring it so we can see how detailed it is. I just love looking at this picture.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just amazing. On the right, you now have the airports. Sometimes I'm like, this is really almost 40 years. So what we do today, who knows? 50 years later, 100 years later, next generation will all be, benefiting from those things. Okay, so another thing was we had to just, send out a survey early in the year before we start as we started planning to get an idea of the projects that people are really, really even hoping to get, are expecting. So what you have on the screen is the results that we got from people. So we're able to look, put the states. You could see like the percentages of responses. Anambra actually has the highest at 35%. And we also included Delta, Rivers, and Lagos. So you could see the people that responded, their countries. But most importantly, let's look at the projects to give you an idea of what people are really, really expecting or what they think is lacking. So, somehow we need to be able to make up for that. The first thing is specialist hospitals. So this will tell you that we need more help if, to improve the health care sector in our labor. Let me the slide is still going to be shared to everyone, so you're still going to have more if you want to make other reference. So this is phase one project. From the previous slide, there were just so many things there, but we can't start everything at once. We had to just pick the ones we can start with. So BAP is going to be in phases. So at this first phase, where we launched November, we want to work on 3 projects: primary health center, solar powered boreholes, and also libraries. So we're crowdfunding to build these 3 projects starting 2021. There'll be more projects that we're going to add, but those ones will be in subsequent phases. So let's complete this. We see it's working before we can take up another project. And we also, listed how many we're expecting to build for one project. So the primary health center is going to be one in each state that we pick. For solar powered borehole and library, we want to, have more than one, to just have more in different communities. We like set out to have 5, but who knows? We can actually, go more higher than that, depending on how much we get. So this is for primary health center. This is to show you guys the picture of the primary health center in our label. See the state and look at what we can have on the right. So there is really a lot of issues, and it's also health hazard affecting the locals. People, to access some health center, people have to travel for a very long time. And when you talk about healthcare, it's emergency. People need to see that there is access to prompt medical care. So that's what we are looking at. And even in project selection, we want to make sure that for communities that do not have access, like location, if it's too far, we want to see how we can focus on those areas so that people don't have to go travel long distances because they want to access medical care. And we're also thinking of adding, making sure that we provide there is access to water and electricity, the PHC that we want to construct. So we want it to be modern. We want it to serve the people, but we also want to make sure that all the things we need is actually in that health center. So for example, we're thinking of ambulance. So if there's need for somewhere, they can easily get across to the sick person. And even making sure that we have borehole in each of those PHC and see how we can have a power equipment, if it's solar or any other means to generate power. Because I'm sure you guys also know there are sometimes you hear stories that they go to a hospital or a health center, there is no light to power a machine, and then the patient is just there, the condition is getting critical. So these are all the things we are looking at. We want to start doing the things that we hope to see in our society, the things that are needed. So this is to show you guys an example of a solar powered borehole that we can really build from this BAP fund. On the left, you can see where people still fetch water. This is 2020. In Alibo, we need to do better. We can't continue like this. So we want to have something better. Water is very, very essential. From this, this is post-COVID time, right? During COVID, what was everybody talking about? Hand washing, hand washing. But they forgot to tell the people that some people don't even have access to potable water. So it's an issue. It's really sometimes I like to say that it's a human right. everyone, people need to have access to potable water. That's why we really had to put borehole and making it solar powered, so that if so to ensure that there is constant power supply to pumps to power the pumps. And the third project is library, modern library, to see that people have all the books we need. Is also we have proper equipment for ICT and also internet access. This is digital age. When COVID happened, everybody went online to do everything. Meetings, work was happening online. But if you don't have access to internet, you're really cut off. So want to see that this library have all those things that would help, and also trying to make sure we get the current books that they need. Uche, who was one of the panelists, talked about STEM and also the curriculum, how it's not enough. So we're trying to also see that if we're getting more books, it's books that would contain things that people need for this 21st century, and even thinking beyond that. So we also need to see that the libraries are fully equipped. And there's just nothing like human capital development. It's so important. If you provide people access to information and knowledge, you're really helping them to expand their knowledge base and imagination. And a literate society is a prosperous society. So I really had to add that. We actually have timelines for these three projects, from 12 months to 6 months, and also 4 months for solar powered borehole. And because we launched last month, November, we want to start construction of the first one early next year, 2021. But we are going to look at how much we've raised, and as long as it's enough to start one project, we are going to start. So we don't want to wait till we have we get all the money down. We want to just, start working on them one after the other. I'm sure some people are wondering, like, how much are we even expecting to use for all this project? We actually have been able to put together a budget. So, for the primary health center, the kind of, the quality that we are really, hoping to do, it's going to cost about 60 million for one. And the borehole solar powered is, a little bit on the high side, 6 million. And for libraries, the amount we put for that is 5 million. So looking at all the locations we want to cover and all the how many we want to have for one project, everything came to about 690 million. That's almost 700 million naira for this BAP phase one. But we know that it's very doable. Once we come together to do something, we always achieve that. Just unity of purpose. And then people will see that this would help really make an impact in the society. They're really going to work with us. So even setting the budget at 700 million, we are still very optimistic, and we believe that people are going to keep coming together, supporting what we are doing, and we also need to deliver. So this next part is very important. All these three projects we've mentioned, the management should also really work. In Alibo, we have so many projects that have been completed, but if you go there 2 years later, 5 years later, it's a different story. What you were admiring before now looks somehow dilapidated. But we don't want this with BAP. We can't continue. So we're trying to really create change. So in this management structure, we've been thinking of how to really have a structure that would ensure that the whole thing is sustainable. So we knew that we could, have other organizations work with us, like bringing in town unions into these things we are doing, council of elders, private citizens, or even the churches, to see that we all come together to manage this project, so that if you go there 5 years later, it's still operating very well. If you go there 10 years later, everything is still very good. And I don't know if His Excellency is still here. That's Peter Obi. During his tenure, when he handed the schools over to the churches, he said there was so much improvement. So that's also why we had to put church as one of the parties that we are also going to consider to help manage some of the projects that we are going to really implement. And for the whole project management phase, we are going to be working with certified contractors and project managers. We want to deliver world-class projects to people, because you can't tell them, hey, let's crowdfund, let's do this, and then the project is now subpar. That's not really how we want to roll with BAP. This is our funding and accountability framework. So the funding sources are four, or we could also say five. So we have an account in Zenith Bank. People can make direct payments into that account. You could also have e-transfers, those do the mobile pay and send it to us. We have also Bitcoin for people that are so into cryptocurrency. We're talking of this digital age, young people. We knew we had to include Bitcoin. We have the GoFundMe platform. Most people in diaspora might just find that more accessible. And also people can donate in kind, even though we know that we need money for this project. But people can donate in kind. You can say, hey, I want to send these books across, or I want to help you guys with the architectural design. So any other thing that people have, any other expertise, any other way they want to support this Build Alibo project, it's really welcome. It's not only money. Any other thing you can bring to just see that we have these three projects done, delivered, and working. That's really, really fine by us. So to be accountable, we want to be giving people updates every week of how much we've, received. People need to know. When you talk about development, you also have to be accountable, right? So that's something we've really, really been doing. And we've been updating since we launched November 14th. We've been updating how much we've gotten on all the platforms, even Bitcoin. We all update so that it's open, people can see. And when we start construction next year, as we are disbursed, we've gotten this contractor, this is how much we're going to pay. We also want to put out all those expenses so that people can see clearly how what we are using for the money, like what we've been expending, I should say. And at the end of the year, we think we could also bring an audit, a company to just audit all our processes and also the financials, and also share to other people so that they know and they really, really believe what we're doing. And that is the end of the presentation. I hope I've been able to
Wow.
really explain
Congratulations.
everything about BAP. So, like I
Well,
said, this is the flagship project for this year. But in Alibo Initiative, there are just so many other things we have that we've been doing. So for next year, you're going to be seeing more work on accountability, and looking at civic education, voter education, also looking at, what's the Southeast Development Plan? How can we bring everybody to be working together, and having town hall meetings, more stakeholder engagement. You can see why this summit today is really, really important, because we need to start having all the conversations, have action plans, and work on them. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you.
thank you very much. I can tell you everybody's hands here online and everybody's clapping. In fact, in this your presentation, you have lived up to the dreams of Professor Naji, that the next generation is already getting ready to step forward. And I know he's going to make some comments there. But I'm going to be in my usual non-provocative manner while they're bringing the questions up together. I'm going to ask His Excellency P2B to make some comments on the presentations, both this one and the earlier ones you saw, because again, it's all around funding, but this is now introducing out of the box thinking. We all talk about crowdfunding, but we're now beginning to see some of these things in action. And Isusu and various other things, both for personal self-help, and there are lots of also traditional Igbo funding mechanisms. And that's your Simon Bakwe. I need to see the original. I want to go and see my old man's name on that list, because I know he donated at least 1 and 6 towards that particular program. So, Your Excellency, Peter Obi, please, can we have your comments first?
Well, mine is just to thank the various presenters and panelists and what they've been able to do, because quite frankly, it's been a very, very interesting listening to all the presentations, especially the last one. They are wonderful initiatives. To you actually, I would say you, because you represent SEDEC now, that these things should be taken to ensure that it's on the table of the various governments. Because if I look at what the last presentation about the libraries and everything, if you were talking about development and things you need to do, It's unfortunate. It's the money, the way she presented it, to revamp our libraries. I spoke to I just go to secondary school every single secondary school every week, and I was in one yesterday, and I told him a story. Now, the first time I saw a copter in my life was in 1967 when Ojukwu came to open the library in Onitsha. In 1967, I was in primary one in Onitsha, and he came with a helicopter from Enugu to open the library in Onitsha, 1967. It will shock you that that was the only library in Anambra State that was functional until governor. That library then was actually, half of it had been turned into a restaurant. There was Mama Put there. And until we now built Library in Oka, and there's no reason why all our local government should not have a modern IT library today. So when I listened to that last presentation, some of these things they've done today, even the request, whether is how to raise small capital and everything, this should be on desk of our government. It will help them, especially in the Southeast, it will help them to continue their own developmental efforts. These studies, these contributions, it is contribution when you come to Anambra State today, you will see that we have more rural roads than we have in even the urban area. Pretty cool study that when we did poverty mapping in the state, and we found out the poor areas of the state, we found out that the greatest thing they need is access. They were farmers, but they didn't have access to markets. And we found out that with some of our local governments, like Ayamelum, like Anambra West, had not seen even a kilometer. So we said, well, listen, we must give access to this area. And we started, all of them, everywhere, opening up the roads. So some of these contributions today, which I find amazing, should be directed to the desk of our various governments. And I can tell you, if you have it written down, I'll help you to deliver it to them.
Thank you very much. We can always count on you, and we will definitely be involving you, because coming out of this is going to be a series of actions that we'll be making to the governors themselves directly. We do have a few of their representatives online, so we do know that the message is slowly getting out there. And it keys in very comfortably with Gerald's presentation around putting in the foundations for ICT and various other things. And so there's a lot of signages. I'll now ask Prof to make his own comments while my colleagues will flash up my questions so that I see what the audience has been asking.
Thank you very much, all the presenters. And Your Excellency, you can see that because you established a model government, that people keep referring to various things that you did. For example, the giving back of schools to the missionaries was quite exemplary. We used to have missionaries run schools, and they were running the schools well. Then government took over and ran the schools aground. And many of them still remain aground now. But what you did was really quite critical, because now you could hold somebody responsible. The missionaries tend to run things quite
rather the churches tend to run their schools well, and that is the outcome. I know that in Enugu State it's happened like that now for a number of schools, not all the schools, but some critical schools have been taken over by government. We hope that more of that will happen in other places. This young lady that spoke last, you really, I admire your project because just like what Dr. Abani said, these are the dreams of SEREDEC that we have initiatives that are not so difficult to achieve, but which, as a group, we can get a lot of mileage. The library, solar powered water system, and so on and so forth. These are things that are quite global. And even by community effort, these are quite global. So a lot of the presentations have been quite good. Agriculture initiative, how we can all join together to have agricultural initiatives that work. I mean, the example that Dr. Peter B cited about the Netherlands, you see a smaller sized area, yet they produce so much in agriculture, so much exports in agriculture. The Southeast can easily do that, very much so. Dr. Abani here is already in the vanguard of major agricultural initiative. And it doesn't, it just takes the drive and finding a way to do the economics of it, the financing of it. So we appreciate the fact that there are so many opportunity areas. You have ICT, how our young people can do a lot. It's like the creation of Google, creation of Microsoft. These things started from garages, from university dorms, and certainly can start by encouragement of young people to be creative. I am supremely confident that our young people have all the capacity to do what is to do what those people abroad have done, to create the big businesses. And it's just your computer, you and your computer, and you have created a big business, and people can buy it. The leather products industry, Kenneth had been really quite a spokesman. Kenneth, I know you may not still be there, but we are coming to give you all the support you need. And you and the area market people. There's a coalition of initiatives that come together to push the region to what it is supposed to be. I believe that with all the things going on now, give us a few years and you will begin to see. And it's good for Nigeria, it's good for West Africa, it's good for Africa. So you cannot be saying that potential that's not realized, it's not potential at all. But we have the capacity to realize the potential. And so I want to once more just thank Governor Peter B because your examples really go to the heart of the matter. Not just talking about it, but really doing it, showing how this thing can be done. And we are, in our various ways, trying to do the same thing. But this summit is all about getting everyone to understand what can actually be done collectively and the initiatives, how they work together to support one another. So, thank you, Will, Dr. Lai.
Thank you very much, Prof. And thank you to all the panelists on this session, which has been very thought-provoking. Our Executive Director of SEREDEC, Dr. Mrs. Regina Amadinjoku, could you please unmute yourself and say a few words?
Could I just say something about her, please? Let me say, this woman, it's important to introduce her. She's a retired Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations and has huge experience. And we are quite privileged to have her as Executive Director of SEREDEC. We've been able to lure and convince her to do this job, just like we've been privileged to have Dr. Mark Abani to pilot the seas forward. These two people, with them, we are on the go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Our team, I believe she's in the Abuja office.
Yes.
Could you please unmute and spotlight her?
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. We've been watching you from Abuja. First, very, very happy to be here. Of course, we congratulate our team in Abuja. Dr. Mark Abani and our team have done beautifully well. You all know he gave us a real trajectory of the journey of SEREDEC from the one, the first time we started the series. And this is one approach that we've used. What the theme we're having now is that the future, we've done all we can do with planning, but the future implementers are the youth. And what we see happening today is everything presented here seems to be going to the youth. We enjoyed very much the startup strategies given to us. I've forgotten the name of the intervener. The TVET, the education. We have young ones who are very, very educated. We put a lot of money in them. They're ready to run. And then SEREDEC, we have planned from the one. We know what we have on the ground as assets, minerals. We know where the capacity is. We know what we need with our partners to create a Southeast that works with infrastructure. And as Governor B said today, we have everything, but we do not have the commitment and the youth. This is our joy today. I think we are accomplishing our own objective. And what we can do is we are taking notes. As Executive Director of SEREDEC, I've been here listening and taking notes. And somebody, I think Gerard said it, that SEREDEC, we have to put all of this together. We are ready, and we're very much supported by the governors of the Southeast and some of the partners here. So we're ready at the end of this to come out with some plans we can do to make sure that the dreams and objectives and outcomes of this seas become reality. That I say thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. We're listening, we're learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our Executive Director, and for a lot of us, our mentor. There's no time that she has a discussion or that you don't benefit from all those years, both in the United Nations at the level of Assistant Secretary, but also as the head of the World Labour Organization, one of the founders of the Africa Capacity Building Foundation, and I could continue to add a lot of firsts that she has done and continues to do. Thank you very much for that. We are coming towards the end of this session. We have So, Gerald, do you want to unmute and make your comment, please? I've seen your comment in the box, but
Yeah, okay, so I'll just repeat. Thank you very much, Mark. I'll just repeat it. I think we'll call it is a comment and a friendly challenge that I'm happy that Antia has accepted to support. But if we could leave here with a concrete commitment from SEREDEC to say, look, these are the 3 items we're going to engage. The SEREDEC has credibility with the government. Really, there's not that much that can be done without some form of government involvement or the other. If we can have a handful of commitments from SEREDEC to say, look, hold us accountable to these initiatives, whether it is to enable our people to unlock these interventions by putting the necessary structures in place, or whether it is to put the infrastructure in place, whether it's, work with people. Let's get something concrete from SEREDEC, and that's where the difference will be made, really. That's my humble opinion. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me once again.
no, thank you very much. I can assure all participants you're not the only one. Somebody else has asked. The government is supposed to be part of what we are doing. Why do we need to communicate to them? Well, part of the process of negotiation and engagement is you need to do formal forwards and backwards and exchanges and information. They're very much hearing the message firsthand. One of the things that we also need to do is put together some of our evidence base around this. So working together with the younger members and town unions, there's actually a lot of investment that has gone on by Igbos in Igbo territory. And even if we brought that story together alone, it forms as a catalyst and an encouragement, like the Samu Bakwe airport. In itself is just a story that rejuvenates and says, let us go forward. All the questions that have been asked, we will be dealing with them, and we will make sure that we reply to all of them in our summary report, which will have a list of actions that we're specifically taking. Those of you who are online, you will see a number of polls that we have put up there with a few questions. If we could just take a few minutes to go through the questions, I hope they're legible to those of you there, and click your answers to the poll so that we can see what people have identified as the most important areas or the more common areas that we can take forward. So, can you see who are many people responding? No, nothing yet. We'll leave it open for while we're still online, so people feel free to do that. We will also send out the same questions as a questionnaire to all participants who have participated today, and we will collate all of your information in order to make sure that we identify the most important things. So what I will assure you, and I will reiterate for you, Gerald, but for everybody, and thank you for people who are already participating in the poll. We can see the answers coming in. Everything will be drawn into an action plan. That action plan will be shared by everybody. We will be taking continuous feedback on this, and expect us in 2021 in a far more active. Now we're not used to living with COVID, whether there's a vaccine or not. It will no longer slow down some of our activities and our uncertainty. Going through today, starting from the ease of doing business, we've identified capacity issues. We've identified the need to run experiments that are running in other parts of the country in the Southeast. We need to engage both at foundation level and through formalization. We need to apply, and we have seen that our youth have got both the vision and the capacity to take us forward. At this point, and to close us down, I would ask Professor Onimawara, who is the Secretary to the SEREDEC Board, to please unmute himself and give us the vote of thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have been a little bit technical difficulties, but thank you everybody for this first participation on the first section of this 6-5. I'm very much privileged and honored to be part of this organization. I can't thank Professor Batin Najanov and Mark and all the people from PAL for the effort being put in order to make sure that this summit comes to fruition. It has been a wonderful first session of the day, and as we break, we look forward for us all to rejoining the second phase of this summit today. Once again, I thank SEREDEC and Paul Diffie for the effort put in thus far to making sure that this summit is a success. And I look forward for us to rejoining soon so that we can continue from where we stopped. All our panelists, all our contributors, I can't thank you guys enough for such a wonderful presentation. Alibo has to be great. Southeast has to be great. And by extension, Nigeria. Nigeria has all it takes to make her citizens live a comfortable life. That's the bottom line. We're dealing with a lot of challenges all over the country, but we have to put all hands on deck to make sure that Southeast contributes her own quota toward the development of Nigeria. Thank you very much, and I look forward for us all joining us in a very short period so that we can continue from where we stopped. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Professor Batin Naji, and all our panelists. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Prof. I just wanted to add another thanks, other people to thank. You know, partnership is very, very important in this. The role played by Pearl, ARC, and F, that is the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office of the United Kingdom, has been very, very supportive. And the face that we see of it here is Mrs. Uche Uchoma Egwatu. So she really has been very, very supportive. And also Mr. Ifeanyi Ugoke at the national office. So we thank them so much for their support. Dr. Abani, really, we thank you so much. It's just so to add to what Professor Wabara has said, I think the partnership is critical. The Governors Forum, very, very, very important because just like many people have said, you can't quite do it. The government is the effective organ. You know, there are a lot of things, even though we from the private sector, we initiate the stuff, we provide continuity, but government must also play their role. So the Governors Forum, Professor Simon Otwanya, thank you so much. With Governor Omahi as chairman, current chairman of the Governors Forum, and the always hosting governor of Enugu State. He hosted the very first session of this summit and continues to provide support. So thanks, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Van.
Thank you very much, everybody. At this point, we will call the 5th Southeast Economic Summit to a close. But as I have said, you are going to be hearing a lot more from us, and what you'll be hearing in the next few days is the list of actions, and we would love your feedback and also your ability to volunteer to join in and deliver any of those particular options. So thank you very much, and God bless everybody.